Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good day, being Victor Lane.
Green flag is in the air. Driving with conviction. Side by side, hammer down. The after-Jensen win. Don't count out anybody. Who wants it the most?
We are eyes on the leader now.
He is driving his guts out. Wheel to wheels, they come to the line. Victory this will be.
Nobody wants it more than you.
Next flag is going to end it. Does he have enough? Holy cow! A dominant performance.
You're going to say no, baby. Let's go!
Can you believe what you are seeing? Everybody's pushing as hard as they can get it. One final shot.
You got to earn this thing right here to the end.
It is all on the table.
A total 500.
Drivers, start your Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into Premier Endurance League, and welcome in to round 2 of Season 8 as we come your way for the GT3 Limited Series, brought to you by Dash Offroad. This evening we arrive in Germany for the Nürburgring as we race around the WEC layout of this wondrous world-famous circuit. We're live across both Infinity Broadcasting and the Premier Endurance League YouTube channels. Hamish Runner here with you alongside Brock Kadai once again, and well, Brock, we're excited for tonight's race coming to the Nürburgring, of course, after a hot first round last month at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. It's exciting to finish our European run this season at such a premier racing circuit for sports car racing, and one that's going to offer up a whole lot of challenges to these drivers this evening.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to be back here for round 2 of the Premier Endurance League Limited Series Season 8, and I have to agree, round 1 was hotly contested. We saw pace, strategy, safety cars, incidents. It all played into the overall result, and I think a technical track like Nürburgring here is just going to give us an even more exciting round. The guys have got their feet wet, they've gotten that experience and gotten the rust out of the joints. I think we're in for another really hot round here tonight too.
I think we are, of course, and as stated, we're into the second of 5 parts for this season. Round 2 tonight for the Nürburgring. We'll then back on your screens in early or mid-September at Road Atlanta for round 3, of course. Then we have a month off before returning for a double header across 4 weeks in November. Sebring in November 1st for round 4 of the season, and then round 5 will end us out. Daytona International Speedway on November 22nd as well. So the next 4 months, or next 3 months really, it's going to be hotly contested for Premier Endurance League action. And as stated, the Nürburgring tonight, tough challenge. I'm of the opinion this is the absolute peak layout of what would be the Grand Prix circuit or the stadium section of the Nürburgring, running that WEC layout. It really cuts out that final chicane to be a lot more fast-paced and a lot straighter as well, so you've got to carry more speed through there. I think this is the much better layout of the circuit. Having a quick look at our championship points before we get into the track map preview this evening. For the top 10 in the Challenger class, Gavin Simpson leads the way at the moment, 141 points, ahead of Mark Foster in P2 on 134. Then it's Jake Robillard and Ben Wilkes, the only other 2 drivers above 100 points at the moment. With those overall points, with the overall point structure being the main name of the game here, Brock, for drivers to gain their points, it's important for Challenger drivers to get as good a finish as possible to really elevate themselves against their competitors, because we can see it's a massive point spread for the top 10 in this Challenger class.
Yeah, absolutely it. And that's where guys like Gavin, Mark and Jake and Ben as well have done a really good job. They got themselves really far up the overall field last round and kept themselves clean, keeping in mind we saw a really large number of penalties last round. That meant if you kept your nose clean, you actually made up some positions. So that is part of it as well. It's a bit of pace, but a bit of making sure that you're not getting in anyone else's way or taking anyone else out.
That's exactly right. And looking at our elite class points as well here, Greg Barber leads the way, of course, 380 points after that race win last week. Owen Coleman P2, Ben Wilder in P3 to this stage. Much closer point spread, of course. Scott Rankin, well, he had a very long day today, calling the ASRG V8 Pro Invitational Bathurst 1000. He steps into the seat to drive tonight, once again on board his Logitech GODBM McLaren as well. Trent Stapleton makes up our top 5 in the championship. Jack Bird, John Trott, Luke Kapotza ahead of Ben Johnson and Tristan McLaren as well. And looking back at that race that we had last time at Catalunya, Luke Kapotza had a great run. He started P51 that day and finished out inside of the top 10 after a great run in that race, of course. Before we get into our starting grid tonight, we'll have a quick look at our circuit here out at the Nürburgring. It is the Grand Prix Stecker, of course, with the stadium variant of the circuit as we trickle our way on in to find ourselves not too far north of Frankfurt and not too far south of Düsseldorf as well here in Germany. We will trickle our way on in. We're not running the Nordschleife tonight, so there's no dangers of the Gunnar Huller. It's all going to be stadium stuff for the Nürburgring, as we'll then find ourselves at one of the world's most famous racing circuits, a crown jewel in racing. This layout has been used ever since 2002, but it was open all the way back in 1927. 5 kilometres, just about 3.15 miles, 15 turns. All start to the main straight at the kink at Piper. You then run in towards Yokohama's at turn 1 and up through the Mercedes Arena for turn 2 and towards turn 3 and down through turn 4. In that first section, turn 1, we're going to see plenty of dramas tonight, Brock, with possible rear ends coming around on those mid-engine cars. It is going to be a difficult section to deal with, especially on those cold tyres early on.
Yep, completely agree. And I think that that's where you've got to be careful, as you mentioned, on cold tyres, but also when you're battling people side by side. It's easy to get onto the marbles through these really technical sections and get offline, and then you're going to have the car come around on you as well. Coming through the arena section and down to turns 5 and 6, Valvoline and Ford Curva. Those areas there, you try to tuck in and get a really good run down to Dunlop, which is effectively almost a hairpin as you come back around towards the Michael Schumacher S. Michael Schumacher S really fast, left, right, turn 8 and 9 there. Probably not much of an opportunity for passing, but you're trying to set up for Michelin in turn 10 and then Warsteiner in turn 11 through to sector 3 to get towards the end of this excellent lap here.
That's right. You then run up through turn 12 at Ad Van Borgen, up towards the NGK chicane for turn 13 and 14, and then the Coca-Cola curve for turn 15 as well. The pit entry tonight is going to be a very crucial one. You come through that chicane so quickly in comparison to the regular Grand Prix circuit that you've got to try and dart yourself across the road as fast as possible to the right-hand side to get yourself into pit entry. Pit exit shouldn't be too bad. It does come out right into the line of the apex of turn 1, but normally cars have slowed up enough that they're able to just work their way through it as best as possible as well. Before we get into our grid, let's have a look here. History lesson for you. The last time we were at the Nürburgring was back in Season 1 on May 7th of 2023. The last time we were here, we used this layout, the Grand Prix no chicane. So using that Grand Prix layout with this variant of the chicane, last time we were here, this is going to give you a differential on the GT landscape of the world. BMW, Mercedes and Audi were the predominant car choices at the time. The previous qualifying record was a 153.124 set by that race winner, Brandon Grotch of Frog Leap Juice Racing, who did go on to win the race, as I just said as well. It's going to be an unbelievable affair to be back here tonight as well. That round was round 4 of Season 1. We're up to now round 8. We haven't returned to this circuit since then. It's great to be back here with you all once again as well. Looking at the starting grid tonight, it is going to be a very, very long one. So we're going to be here for a moment. Magnus Rowney has gone to pole position for OPR ahead of Owen Coleman on the front row of the grid. Coleman, though, does back up a second front row start here tonight, but it is not pole position as was last time at Catalunya. To row 2 and behind, we then find Scott Rankin out of the broadcast booth and into the circuit. He'll start out a P3 ahead of Matt Webber for the top 4 here this evening. Row 3 and behind, and the top 6 is Greg Barber, last time race winner, will start alongside Doug Gowans out there on the third row of the grid. To row 4 in behind them, we have Leo Dreyer ahead of John Trott for our top 8. To the top 10, it's then Adam Gardner and Jesse Butler for an all-Mustang 5th row of the grid. Row 6 in behind in the top 12, it's Jack Vlahovic ahead of Mitch Hobbs for the top 12 cars. To row 7, it's Benjamin Wilder ahead of Nathan Hodges for the top 14. Row 8, we'll then have Rue Koistra starting alongside Patrick Reardon for the top 16. To row 9, it's Michael Spithill alongside Brad Coates for the top 18. Row 10 in the top 20, it's Martin Hallinan ahead of Jack Bird here this evening. To row 11, we then find Daniel Magri alongside Logan Murphy for the top 22. Row 12, it's Trent Stapleton alongside Benjamin Johnson, who had a great run last time out. We'll see if he can make his way up the order tonight, back up towards the top 10. He'll start at a P24. Row 13, Stephen Tonkin alongside Jake Robillard for the top 26 cars on the grid. Row 14, it's Matthew Gerard and Daniel Piper for an all-McLaren 14th row of the grid. To row 15, we find Ben Brook and Rafael Custodio, as well as all the cars are just beginning to get gridded up here as well. Row 16, Vinny Nguyen alongside Brent Tucker for the top 32. To row 17, it's Ben Wilkes and Brendan Purcell. To row 18 in behind them, Gavin Simpson, Kurt Chapman, the Audi in the top 40. That's a great qualifying from him to P36, but work to be done to get a finishing result today. Adrian Gretsch will start alongside Janice Ragwani for the row 19 in the top 38. To the top 40, Jesse McMenamin will start alongside Joe Hargreaves out there as well. Row 21 in behind, it's Mark Foster and Daniel Coleman out there too. To row 22, Ronald Long will start alongside Wade Reynolds for JWM Esports. Pace car's going to come in. Matthew Bakir, Chris Huddle will make up the top 46. We didn't have enough time to run through the whole grid, but it's going to be a hot race start here tonight out at the Nürburgring. Who can maximise as Magnus Rowney and Owen Coleman will look to get us underway? It's green flag running at the Nürburgring. Round 2 underway, and the OPR machine of Rowdy's goodness, full firing for Ferrari at the front end of town, but Coleman will look to pressure him. Watch for Rankin on the inside as well to try and make a move early here. He's going to be a driver to watch. He's got great pace this evening, but the tightening turn 1, it's always treacherous, Brock, as they enter up through the Mercedes arena.
well done to Rankin there. He managed to keep it really clean as he came through turn one, still sharp after that big day of commentating. And speaking of a big day of commentating, that was a great effort there from you as well, Hamish. That was smoke in the background there through the arena section as well. Nose to tail contact happening. We've got a car turned around in the middle of the track and they've been hit again. I think that might have been Ronald Long that got in there. So that's Gardner who's spun around at the moment. And we talked about this through turns 1, 2 and 3 on cold tyres. And if you get a little touch, you're going to get spun around. So the rest of the field has managed to get through there. Magnus Rowney still out the front here after a strong start. And now they'll come through the hairpin here up towards the Michael Schumacher S as the field starts to sort itself out and get single file.
I'll tell you what, it's great to see the Ferrari up the front end. It's been so long since we've had Ferrari dominance in GT racing here in iRacing, of course, and the 296 has never really been the major contender, as Wade Reynolds has had a minor moment further down the order, and that JWM Porsche has been spun round. We'll get a view of it post to lap number 1 to see what's happened to it. It's been a little bit hellacious here on lap 1, Brock, as a few cars are suffering early, but ultimately nowhere near as chaotic as what we had back at Catalunya, as Rob Allard at the moment is trying to deal with a slowdown down the order in the Challenger class. He gets that tidied up. But man, oh man, this is going to be a hotly contested one as they look to end up lap 1.
And I was just having a look back there. Wade Reynolds actually had contact with Gardner as he was trying to right himself in the arena section. That's ripped the right rear corner out of his car, unfortunately. So a simple incident there, but that looks to have ended his night. He may have to tow. Back to the front of this field, though, Magnus Rowney showing why he got the pole position, because he is checked out of here. Matt Webber into second place at the moment and Rankin up into third. Just having a look at that replay at the moment. So I believe this is post-incident. You can just see how high up that right rear is up in the guard. Here we go. Nice and slow. He does do a good job to get out of the way.
Yeah, that's already happened. So something further up the road has actually happened to that car. And I think we may have to watch this first lap back for Reynolds just to see actually what's happened to him, because the car was already damaged by the time he actually went up and around. So let's just quickly watch this back and see what's happened, because that had significant damage on it for so early on in this race, Brock. I mean, it's seriously damaged, and he was down the order, so I have to wonder, was he maybe involved in one of these early lap incidents that happened on lap 1 here? Let's just watch this back.
Yeah, we're pretty clean up the back here. Everyone pulling up nicely. It's really good to see, considering turn 1 can be such a hot point for contacts. And coming through turn 2 here, I believe up ahead is where Adam Gardner was spinning and needing to get himself righted. It's going to come through turn 3 here.
Oh, that's where...
And there we go.
Yep.
So, yeah, there it is.
Yep, it was the contact from Gardner. So I would say then Gardner's probably going to have some answering to do for that from race control. Jack Bird as well, who had a strong run in round 1 last time out as well. He's had a minor off track down the order, but it went really wild as he tried to get back on the circuit. Luckily it didn't ricochet back in the way of traffic, but that could have been a hell of a lot worse there, Brock, as lap 4 is about to get underway.
Yeah, look, it's disappointing for Jack because he was in that top 10 from last round, so he has now got a lot of work cut out for him to do in this race, but lucky to save it and keep it out of the arm code, because that just means that he can continue on. Long race, a lot of strategy to unpack here as the race goes on. Good to see everyone's kind of settling in here, just getting into their rhythm. We're still early in this one, and we'll look at that on board with Greg Barber. So Greg running his VR setup. Last round's winner on an excellent strategy play of tyres and fuel saving. So watch him, he's in 6th now, but don't count him out of a podium or a win here tonight. Really cool to see not only his view at home and how he has everything set up, but also his onboard camera in the bottom right there. That's actually a unique setup I've never seen before, so I really appreciate that, and have to say big thanks to him for jumping in tonight as well, Hamish, and giving us that view.
Oh, massive thank to him. It's really brilliant when drivers decide they want to play ball and join us when we are going to try something. So what I will say is to those drivers that are watching post-race, maybe I'll at everyone next time I put the link out there. Keep an eye on the video cam link for next round. We'll try and get more cameras going, but we've only got Barb's this round. But we'll try and get more happening in future. And I'm actually surprised. He previously, when I've done it before, he's had the pedal cam happening. He normally wears some pretty eclectic socks, but we don't get that today. Instead, we get the virtual cam with the camera on him for the VR, and then as well his VR POV too. So we'll check back in with that all throughout the race as we can. There has been a few moments though across this last lap, including one for Daniel Piper, who we know has been quite a strong competitor in the past. Now, whether he can actually hang on to this thing for the rest of the night is still going to be answered for us. This was down towards turn 1. A couple of cars around him, just got caught up across the nose of the Revolution E-Racing car ahead of him, and around that car goes. Not too much damage on it though, so should be able to recover it. But those are the little 1%ers that you're trying to avoid around here at the Nürburgring, because ultimately it is a track that will benefit you for being consistent. It will benefit you from staying clean as much as possible, because ultimately driver error is actually quite rare. It often comes about because of a little bit of carnage between cars, but even then, Brock, you're never guaranteed that carnage to come around.
No, that's it. And this is where we talked exactly about keeping yourself clean in these races, because it is critical to make sure that you're, that's Rafael Custodio in pit lane. He was the car that made that contact with Daniel Piper. So very, very early for a pit stop, maybe suffering a little bit of damage there.
He has a black flag actually. So I wonder if this is a stop hold penalty or if he has a drive through for another reason, although he's actually just backed out of it. So I think he's decided that's enough this evening. Quite unfortunate that he will not pay for his crimes if that is a penalty from race control, and may result in a post-race penalty as well. We've had a chat. Does anyone usually reach the finish line in these things? They do. They normally do. We have got over 50 cars on the grid today. Last time we had nearly 60 cars on the grid, as Jesse McMenamin's had a wide run down at the bottom of Dunlop up towards the Schumacher S's, but he is still going once again. But yeah, he's just trying to keep himself going to this point in time as well. We appreciate everyone watching along with us as well. I've also noticed Ricky Provenzali is out there. He's actually unclassed because I don't know what class he's supposed to be in, and he wasn't on my list. So we do have him at the bottom of the tower. He will show up every now and again, but currently he's actually unclassified. So we'll try and get him classified for next time out there. But I believe normally, Brock, he would be a pro with me, so maybe we can fix it up for today.
Yeah, I believe Ricky usually sits in the elite category, so watch out there, guys. One of the bosses is coming on through, but don't take it easy on him, all right? You've got to race him just as hard as you would any other driver.
That's exactly right. We will put him into that elite class, so that way he does get classified correctly as well. Looking at our current class leaders, it is currently being led by Magnus Rowney at the moment, and Jake Robillard, who again had a strong points finish in the last round of the season for that Challenger class as well. OPR, though, just dominance right now in the elite class. I mean, Greg Barber leads the championship at the moment. Magnus is leading the race today. He'll obviously be hoping to maximise points. He's got Matt Webber on his heels, putting pressure on at the moment. Scott Rankin just trying to chase it down. Owen Coleman, though, disappointing race start, down 5 positions to this point, and actually behind Greg Barber once again. This is not the start that Coleman would have wanted out there to try and maximise his points here today.
No, and you know what? A little bit of a tidbit on the Mustang is that the tyres tend to take, from my experience driving the car, 3 or 4 laps to actually warm up. So it does take a little bit of time for the car to come to life. So that might have been what caught him out compared to some of the cars around him. This Mustang doesn't look to be having a similar issue. I thought they were going to go for the move on Capozza there, but no. Capozza starting from towards the back of the field again in this one. But he's already up plus 13, well, the back of the field. He was in 51st yet again. He's already up 13 positions in this race and is not looking to hang around yet again. So one to watch this week, going for the old MVP slot again, but he is getting right up in there and trying to make moves happen. These guys are going to go side by side to side contact there, side by side through the S's. Capozza will pull out of that. I think that's a smart move. Probably going to get a slowdown for that one, as he is, so he's going to have to drop a couple of positions here to serve that one.
Yeah, not what he wanted through the Schumacher S's. Big dive, though, on the inside by Chris Ruddle. Contacts made. Capozza goes round, and as does Chris Ruddle and McMenamin as well, who got involved in that too. Capozza's trying to go for the highest average of positions gained this season. We already know how many he got last time. It was over 30, or possibly actually might have even been over 40 last time on track. So he wants more positions gained. He's down the order, but he's still up 5, so he's still on a net gain in this race, but work to be done now for Luke, and I wanted to show him off since Brandon's in the chat out there. A fellow Capozza. I would assume they'd be brothers, surely. Brothers or possibly father and son, who knows, but yeah, the love for Luke is out in the chat today, so we want to keep an eye on him. Plus, based on his performance last time, I want to keep an eye on him throughout this race, Brock, to see how well he does, and to see if he can actually match his performance of last time at Catalonia as well. Championship leader Greg Barber, though, under pressure at the moment here from Owen Coleman. Coleman's still unable to get by just yet. They've got Jesse Butler just ahead of them too, so it's a little bit of a Mustang McLaren sandwich to this stage inside of the top 10. Doug Gowans and Mr. Mitch Hobbs are the only two Corvettes inside of the top 10. There's a good little spread, though, of the chosen and selected cars, or preferred cars, if you will, inside the 10 at the moment. Equal sharing of McLarens, Mustangs and Ferraris for our top 10, as well as those Corvettes. So they seem to be the cars of choice at this stage. Pretty much the polar opposite, except for the Mustang, of what was previously decided at this circuit, Brock, for the Mercedes, Audi and BMW that was previously so dominant here 7 seasons ago.
It's exactly like you said earlier, Hamish, that the GT landscape has changed so much in iRacing, and for the better. We've got far more cars than those 7 seasons ago, far more variety. Obviously the BOP does help with that a bit, and we have seen, though, that the Mustang and the Ferrari are 2 cars that just each season here in PEL usually get some love and have some pace, and that. But as you said, it is really good to see. The Ferrari's always hanging around, but Magnus Rowney is really doing well at the front there to make it happen there. Owen Coleman going for the pass here to make up one of those positions that he lost earlier on in this one, on board with Greg Barber. Coleman's going to go all the way through there into turn 2, and he's gained that position back. So Coleman up into 6, trying to get back towards that 2nd place that he started in.
Yeah, well, we can see from that POV that Barb's is sharing with us as well, just out of movement that the head gets. And I've always wondered what it's like to drive in VR, Brock. I've never had the opportunity. I've always said I'm a preferrer of triples, but VR does seem to be something very special. I would hate to be a driver, though, that does a big endurance race in VR, because I feel like you'd get incredibly sweaty and warm by the end of a double stint, and that wouldn't be so fun for me. Especially someone who wears glasses as well, they're just going to fog up straight away. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting experience to be to get involved in and have an opportunity to drive if I could. But yeah, I know for Barbs, he's a big fan of the VR, and I spent a lot of time working closely with him in my time when I was over in SRW, and yeah, he's a great guy, great driver as well. And it's good to see when he's able to get out there and have a crack. He's still very, very competitive, especially after last round when he took home that race win.
Absolutely, and I'm much the same as you, Hamish, on VR. I haven't had a chance to try it myself, but all reports are good from those VR users out there. They love using it. They say it really contributes to that realism. And on Barber, I love racing him. In Limited, I've had the opportunity to have some real neck-and-neck battles with Greg, and he is just a gentleman racer. He will get out there and battle you as hard as possible, but he'll never try and take you out. It's always about pace and fairness, and that's what we love seeing in this series. So he does a great job. Speaking of pace and fairness, this is a really good segue to Ruka Istra, another guy who is always great fun to race against, and just you can never take your eye off him, because he's always got something under the bonnet. Now, whether that's a bit of pace or strategy, he just always manages to pull out a half decent result in these races.
He does indeed. We're right on board with him to this stage. We had or at the request of Cher, just to check in on him every now and again as she's watching along on her mobile. So thanks for watching once again, Cher. When I actually checked that broadcast, by the way, that I think was actually the element of Cher actually sharing that she is Rue's mum, because in the chat you can see her saying, "Oh, I'm Rue's mum, so I'm his biggest fan." And I thought, oh, it's very interesting that so long ago, even Cher was still in the chat with us. But Brandon asking as well, surely the guy who straight up punted Luke Capozzo gets a drive-through. There's a lot more to it, though, than that, Brandon. Race Control will look at it from quite a few angles. I know from our angle it might look like that he's been straight up punted, but there's more to it than what we may have actually seen. What we can also say is they don't normally give drive-throughs. Normally they'll actually give time penalties if they are going to hand out a penalty. So we will keep an eye on it to see if he does, or if the person who was involved with him does get a penalty. But the one thing I will say is if he doesn't, it doesn't necessarily mean that Race Control's got it wrong. It just means that we may have actually missed something on our initial viewing from how we showed it on broadcast as well. So it's always something to think, especially when you're in the driver's seat, Brock, as you would know, and I've known as well from my previous league racing experience. In the driver's seat, your feelings can be one thing. Looking at it from multiple angles outside the car is a completely different view.
Absolutely, and it's why I think in this series the rules around using your voice comms in the in the actual session in the race are great to limit that commentary from drivers who get involved in the incident, because we're all hot under the collar, we're all racing, the heart rate's up, you know, we're fighting hard out there on track, and when an incident happens, no one in that crash is going to admit fault for the most part. They're all going to be annoyed their race is kind of falling apart a bit. Once you step back and have a look, dust settles, you do have the opportunity to protest if you feel there should have been a penalty, or if you get penalised and you don't feel you should have gotten one. But I think it's really important to remember that we look at one or two camera angles in the commentary box here, and then race control will look at all the available camera angles to make that decision. So we'll keep you updated as those penalties do come in. We do see them and we'll comment on them, particularly when we've caught the action on track. But it's it just shows you the competition's tight out there and it's hot. Like, you know, these guys are racing hard. You know, we're already nearly 20 minutes into this race, and look how tight some of these battle packs are, neck and neck. They have not separated at all from the start of this one.
No, they haven't. They've been keeping themselves nice and tidy. What I can say is race control is looking at that incident as we speak, so we will actually get an answer on that one for you very shortly on who may be found at fault, if anyone is found at fault. I can also tell you too that some time penalties handed out. The likes of Daniel Coleman has been handed 15-second time penalty. Logan Murphy's got a 5-second penalty. Grant Johnson's also got a 5-second penalty as well. So yeah, that's all going the way of those drivers. We did have the answer in chat. Rafael Custodio actually had a time penalty from race control, 10-second time penalty, but the black flag was also another penalty as well. So yeah, so that's why I believe Rafael may have actually backed out of the race, because of the double up of penalties that he had accrued at that stage. This battle pack's being led by at the moment here by Jack Vlahovic at this stage. He's got Nathan Hodges in behind, John Trott as well. And quite interesting to see that OPR have moved from the different car types that were running this last season, where we saw them in both Mustangs and as well in Porsches, all running the McLaren now this season here, Brock. It seems that they've now gone to the more BOP-friendly car choice of the McLaren. The one thing I will state, though, is over the last few weeks, I've had the privilege of calling another multi-class series. Oh, that's a massive dive down the inside there from Benjamin Wilder. Somehow he doesn't collect Drew Koistra and Leo Dreyer. They keep pushing on, but by God, he dived it in from about a kilometre back and somehow pulled it off. I've got no idea how he did that without collecting any victims, but they will continue on. The point I was going to make, though, about the McLaren is it seems to have gone a little bit backwards over the last few weeks. I've been seeing a lot of issues with rear end stability and this car being able to remain stable. It may be a bit different though with open setups and setups that are a little bit more stable for that rear end, but it's definitely a car that seems you have to set up around the issues it's having with that rear end, being that it is a mid-engine car and one that loves to flick the rear end around on you.
And look, that's part of the challenge and the fun of this series, right? Is that when you pick a car, it's like real life almost. It's your car. It's what you're racing for this whole season, unless you want to cop a really big penalty that's going to mess up one of your rounds and potentially risk you losing a lot of points. So you've kind of got to commit and make it happen. Speaking of, well, what a time for, was that Nick Hodges there to commit and make, Nathan Hodges, sorry, to commit and make it happen. Try to go down the inside there of Vlahovic, not quite making it happen, but that's the specialty of this series is, you know, I really enjoy that there's a penalty to changing cars, because it makes you develop the car, develop the setup, and get better in the car over the season, and that's where we see these guys really come into their own, because you've got to practice and test to get the most out of your race every Sunday night we go racing.
Exactly right, and I'm always often a believer, and I'm honestly a hater of it, to see where we have a series where everyone will pick the one car type because it is the meta, right? We've seen it before with Mustangs and with Porsches and everything for the GT3 category, and I was always a believer of when people sign up, you actually sell tickets for a certain amount of car types, so you can only have so many McLarens, so many Mustangs, so many Ferraris, and yes, you might get to the point that people crack it because they don't get the car choice that they wanted, but at least you're going to get the car spread, and you're going to get to a lot of spreading of car types throughout that as well. But maybe in theory it would work. I don't know if it would work in practice necessarily, Brock, but it's always something that I thought maybe could be an option. We're right on board here with Nathan Hodges down towards the beginning of Sector 2 as well, and we can see at the moment on the left-hand side that just the differential in positioning for the Challenger and Elite class drivers as well. They're actually positioned based on their overall positionings, but they've now been separated by their classes for the moment here. Robillard at the moment with a 3-position advantage over Logan Murphy. It's then a straight-up battle between Ben Johnson and Murphy to this stage as well as Brant Tucker. So there's a few cars all involved in the battle there too. For the elite class drivers, there's a little bit less spreading at this stage, but it is all happening around this circuit, and we're only 20 minutes into this race, Brock. We are slowly lurking towards the first pit stops of this race, which will be coming roughly at that half an hour mark. Of course, 65% roughly is the fuel limitations in these cars. It's going to take them about 26 seconds to fill the car up with fuel. But importantly for this season, if you missed it last time at Catalonia when we announced it, they have changed the fuel regulations for this season. We're now running under the WEC regulations where fuel and tyres must be done separately, which means that it's going to take you roughly 50 seconds to do a full service. There's going to be a little bit of strategy involved in that for drivers to decide when they take tyres only, or when they take tyres and fuel, and when they take fuel only. What we saw last time, Brock, which was proof in the pudding, fuel only first stop, tyres and fuel second stop, fuel only third stop is the real key critical factor to take. But we did see Greg Barber make the 2 tyre stop work for him out at Catalonia, where right side tyres were a great choice.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is where I really think we're still in the testing period of this new rule set and how guys go racing. So the logical way to go about it is definitely fuel at first stop, fuel and tyres second stop, which usually comes around the midpoint of the race, and then it's almost like a splash and dash to the end. And what Greg did last week was exactly that. He made a 2 tyre stop work, and we almost wrote him off in the early parts of the race because we thought, no way, he's wasted time, because he ended up taking tyres again later in the race. But that really benefited him, as well as excellent fuel saving under safety cars got him to the head of the field where he didn't need to do a splash and dash towards the end of the race. So it's a really interesting one, and it's going to be determined on whether we have any safety cars in the next 5 to 10 minutes as we approach that pit window. But I really think we're just scratching the surface of the strategic options available to these guys, because every track we go to, we're not always going to have the right side of the car working. Sometimes it'll be the left. The temperatures are going to be higher and lower. We're a little bit lower here today at Nürburgring at about 27-degree track temperature. I think in Barcelona that was up in the 30s, so that tyre wear would have been a little bit more. But what will be interesting to see, we'll keep an eye on the times and let you guys know what we're seeing as we get to that pit cycle. But everyone will do something slightly different, and we're going to try all piece it apart and put it back together so we understand what the lay of the land is post-pit stop 1.
Exactly right. I've got one of my good friends from the US, Bailey Brannon's in the chat with us, saying this is a 2-hour-long race. That's one hell of a workout. And it's a little inside joke just for me, for Bailey on the end of it there. But yeah, 2-hour race. This is not an easy one for these drivers. Solo effort as well. There's no driver changes in this one. I'm a big fan of solo 2-hour races, or even solo 3-hour races. I'm a massive fan of doing the Raw every year when I get a chance to, Brock, at Daytona. 2 hours 40 minutes. It's a great time in the LMP3, and yeah, I recommend anyone out there that wants to do a bit of solo endurance racing, 2 to 3 hours is the perfect amount for you to do a solo endurance run. And yeah, if you can find a series that does it, it's a hell of a lot of fun, and I think a type of racing that more and more drivers are trying to get involved in, because it can be a bunch of fun where you're also not risking your teammates' I ratings, you're only risking your own when you're racing this long in officials, but in leagues it's even better.
No, absolutely agree. And I think this 2-hour, the beauty of a 2-hour race like this is that, and we're seeing a bit of it unfold at the moment, is that it combines a sprint mentality where you've got to try and get as much out of the car as possible, with a bit of that long-term endurance mentality as well. Like, you want to make the tyre last a bit longer, fuel save a little bit more, but still max out the speed you're getting in the car. And that's a hard balance to strike. Like, you can't just do that. That requires work and thinking. So these guys out there, the ones that are going to win in each of their classes today, are going to be the ones who have maximised their strategy, their tyres, their fuel, their pace, and somehow put together this magic quad of things that they need to do to get this thing done. And that's what makes a 2-hour endurance race really nice, is that, yes, it's not 24 hours or anything. That's when you need your teammates here. It's you and the car from minute 1 to minute 120, and you've just got to do it all on your own. And if you make a mistake, that's on you as well, and you've got to own it.
Exactly right. You've got to try and earn it as much as you can. Magnus Rowney continues to lead the way at the moment to Matt Webber. Scott Rankin is just back in P3 to this stage. So it's quickly right on board with Scott here for this lap, just to see how he's going to attack this Nürburgring circuit and how he might be able to attack the rear end of Matt Webber's Mustang as he's finally caught the back of it and will begin to pressure the top 2 across these next few laps.
tell you what, Webber has not let Rowney get away with anything here. That gap is even smaller than what it was before, and it was not that big. So right now, Rankin will be licking his lips. Is there a strategic opportunity here to try and jump these guys in the pit cycle and just get a bit of fresh air? Because it's not nice to sit behind a car like this when you've got two hot cars ahead of you. You're going to be losing a bit of downforce, a bit of heat wash will be coming off those cars. It's not going to be as quick and nice to drive. So you can see here, Rankin's just holding off a little bit, maybe waiting to see what's going to happen with these guys. But I tell you what, if he gets the opportunity to strike, we know Rankin will. He absolutely will give it a red hot go. And the way Matt Webber's racing up there, he's looking hungry. He wants to get past Rowney, and that's where it could all come to blows, and Rankin can sail through for the win.
That's right. We know that he's a tough customer. We should be looking at well, really, it should be 2 full services plus a splash here tonight, but time will tell how that actually pans out. Sher's just asked us how many pit stops, but yeah, I would say 3 without safety car intervention here today. Scott Rankin, we see him just holding back. I reckon there's a little bit of fuel save happening here. He's playing the smart game. We know that Scott is a smart operator. He doesn't want to push this car too hard too early. He'll be happy just to sit back, conserve his energy, knowing he's had a very long day in the comms box. He'll be a very tired man come the end of this, so he needs to conserve. He needs to really be smart about how he attacks this race, knowing that Webber and Rowney are about to get into it down towards turn 1. Rowney will cover the inside. Webber tried to dart for it, but the late lunge of a block from Rowney stopped that from happening. This will now continue on, but this is getting feisty up the front for the top 2, and if they make contact, Rankin's going to be right there like a dustpan and brush to pick up the pieces and throw it away in the bin.
That's it. This is where the play is smart for Rankin. Not being too close gives him time to react. It gives him time to think about where does he go if these guys get into it. And the way Webber is going at Rowney, me as a driver, I'm looking at that and going, I want no part of that. I'm staying back. I'm in a good position where I can maintain a podium at the moment with relatively low threat to my position. No, I'm staying out of it. It's a long race, and Rankin is playing it really smart at the moment and not getting involved in these two going at each other, but will be ready to strike should the opportunity present itself. Couple of details on the right-hand side there for everyone to understand. So right now we are looking at, it's about 5 p.m. in sim at the moment, 22 km/h winds that are at 25 degrees. It is 20-degree temperature, track temp at the air temp at the moment. We've got partly cloudy weather, but about a 27-degree track temp. So that's not cold, but it's also not hot either. So it's in a really nice window to get speed out of the cars without using up too much of the tyre and able to fuel save a bit as well. Yeah,
that's right. And they feel premium at this stage of the race. I mean, you could get better conditions, which are slightly cooler, but you know that you're never always going to get that happening, are you? So what we know is at least for this time with 27-degree track temps, thanks to a bit of cloud cover that we've had, it has kept the track temperatures down. We don't want it up at around 35 to 40 degrees because that's where it'll start to feel like ice, especially when you go to the fresh tyres aboard these cars. Webber's not quite ready to go for the move again here as Rowney does not cover it. Nearly runs up the rear end of him though as they run in towards the braking zone at turn 1. And I now understand why Rankin's holding back, because the looks of this, it is going to end in tears if they continue the way they're running. They are literally pushing the edge of grip and the edge of incidence to its absolute limit to this stage of the race. Everything's been keeping quite nicely though previously at this point, although Brant Johnson has got a slowdown. This will be why it was a minor off track for him that has brought him off the circuit and given him the slowdown here. So yeah, you see they're just traversing the grass down into that second sector. It's not going to be an easy slowdown to get rid of, but ultimately he was lucky not to put it in the wall there.
No, that's it. And the walls for a permanent race circuit, some of these unpowed walls are actually pretty close to where you're doing your racing. So when you go off, and the grass can be a bit like ice sometimes, you'd be lucky to keep it out of there and keep it under control. So that was a good effort there to make sure that your race keeps on going. We've already seen a few of those happen where we've had a few people get pushed off or they've made their own way off and they've had to really work hard to keep the car going, but keeping in mind that's all effort you're putting into these tyres that you want to push through till after the 1 hour mark of this race, and that's just going to have a negative effect towards the end of that tyre life.
It's at the stage that Ruud Koistra at this point of his run Up 2 positions here into P12. He continues to put the pressure onto the back of Benjamin Wilder this time. Leo Trier as well, not matching his pace in qualifying last time at Catalunya tonight. He's actually down 4 positions at this point. So not the race start that he would have wanted either, as we see the first of the front runners, Doug Gowans, into pit lane. Now we know what sort of strategy he pulled out last time. He tried to perfectly split the race into quarters across his 3 stops. Didn't necessarily hurt him last time, but didn't give him an ultimate strategy benefit either. We'll see what happens here for him on board this Corvette as he drags it into the slow and long pit lane here out at the Nürburgring. As he pulls it into that pit box there. So not surprising that he's pulled it right in on the half an hour marker. It makes the math easy for him. Just fill the car up for another stint and push on. But I think these cars, we should see them probably go out to roughly 45 minutes, I would say. Brock knowing, or actually a bit less than that. I think they could go as far as just under 40 minutes, knowing that they will need that small splash towards the end. But the fuel save capabilities of the likes of Coleman and Rankin, who are sitting pretty comfortable behind Matt Webber and Magnus Rowney at the moment, are sitting pretty to try and save that fuel that they need to get these cars home in possibly a 2-stop, although I don't want to hedge my bets on that just yet.
And this is the thing, right? The strategy that Matt Webber is working with at the moment is use. He's just trying to get past and get to the lead. And for him, that track position is what matters more at the moment. We know Rankin and Coleman have the pace to challenge these guys up the front. Like we know they're both excellent steerers, but their strategy is a little bit different. They're trying to go for. And now I just heard Scott Rankin say he's pitting in this lap, so he's going to come in and try to get out of this train. But they're trying to use their ability to fuel save, which is going to help them. It won't help them in the next stint or the stint after. It'll be the final stint when they're needing that splash and dash towards the end of this one, that all of this fuel saving, this strategy will pan out as Rankin peels in there. And out of this battle group, Matt Webber nearly spins to the left of screen there, but keeps it going. That's going to give Owen Coleman effective 2nd place on the track at the moment. Huge mistake from Webber coming towards the pit window.
That is a massive mistake from Matt Webber there. So let's watch this back, because it's as Rankin comes into pit lane. Let's watch Webber. Look at the rear end on it. Getting real loose and real sideways for the final corner, and that completely ruined the run out of the corner and has allowed Owen Coleman past him as well. We've had an incident, by the way, for Tristan McLaren on the lead up the hill too. So what has happened to him on his way actually down the hill, towards Dunlop? I haven't seen him rejoin the circuit, although I think it wasn't an exit of circuit, it was just that half spin. That's okay. But yeah, that could have been a hell of a lot worse for him if not being able to pull it up. Scott Rankin will look to exit pits this time by, but Coleman has had a free kick at 2nd place. Will he get the same luxury trying to go for P1 ahead of him of Magnus Rowney? He's already passed one of the OPR cars tonight, so they're going to take him one more performance pass to get by a World Performance Racing Machine of Rowney ahead of him.
Yep, that's it. And I think right now this has helped Rowney a little bit. It's given him that breathing space that Matt Webber absolutely didn't afford him in the past sort of 5 to 10 laps. But I can imagine, I mean, we know how fast Coleman is. We saw how hard he battled Greg Barber at the end of last round's race, and every other race that we've seen Coleman battling, you know, he will want to get up there and get to the lead and take that track position. So be curious to see who comes into the pits this lap, with Rankin having peeled in Gowan as well the lap before that. I'd be expecting to see these guys come in. We are also getting towards the end of this fuel tank. They've probably only got 2-3 laps left in the tank anyway. Looks like everyone, these top 3 are going to keep going. They're running this thing absolutely dry, and by the looks of it, running it ragged, all getting up on the curb and kicking up some dirt on the exit there too. So Rowney holding that lead at the moment at about 9/10, but Owen Coleman just put in an absolute steamer of a lap time.
We've had an incident, by the way, here for Kurt Chapman, it seems. And that is contact with Brant Johnson, who's tried to dive up the inside of him and actually spun him round at Dunlop. So I think there'll be a penalty coming the way of Brant Johnson, to be honest with you, off the back of that moment. The pace, though, of Owen Coleman is true and real at this stage in the race lead as he continues to chase down Magnus Rowney to this point in time. And to give you the update, by the way, on the penalty we were asked about earlier on with Luke Kapotza, Chris Ruddle was given a 10-second penalty for that incident earlier on. There was no further action over the incident with Brant Johnson between the both of them. So that's to answer the question out there for Brandon Kapotza, who did ask us earlier on The penalty would be coming. It did go the way of the driver that did hit him in that scenario. Owen Coleman, great pace at the moment on board this Mustang here in P2 as he looks to continue to chase down Magnus Riani. Matt Webber in behind, not quite able to match the pace, but Greg Barber is lurking as well. This rivalry doesn't seem to have been folded away just yet, and could still cook up something special for us throughout the night, Brock, because Barber is right there hanging on to him at this stage and is not letting Coleman run away with things just yet. It's about 3.5 seconds separating them. That could easily be shrunken down to net zero if the safety car gets called at any stage.
Well, that's it, and we've seen just how good Barber's defensive skills are. So if he can get up ahead of Coleman through any way, whether that's towards the end of this one, as I think we've just had both Coleman and Webber duck into the pits there. Rowney's going to continue going around, but Barber, watch for him strategically. He was excellent last round, and that's what got him in the position that he was in. So he will be one to watch when he comes in the pit. Clearly running the tank absolutely dry here. He'll continue on for another lap as we tick over into lap 20 in 36 minutes into this race.
So this is obviously a strategy of the team, because John Trott has also stayed out for OPR. So all three of those OPR drivers have stayed out to this stage to continue to push on. I'm not sure if there's any other OPR cars that have actually stayed out on the track to this stage though. But one thing we know is this pit lane is really heating up at the moment. Magnus Rowney leads the way at this stage of the race, as we can now say for the last 13 minutes, Ricky Provenzali gave up on this race 13 minutes ago because he's been in pit lane for that long, Brock. So he didn't actually last nearly as long as he did last time at Catalunya.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure everything was all right out there on track and do a systems check, and then he's right back into the pits, and I'm sure he'll be watching along at the moment, making sure everything's going swimmingly. But hopefully next round we'll see him out there a little bit more and getting involved in some battles. But we're watching this OPR trio here, which it is interesting. Makes sense that they're doing the same thing, but they love to be line astern. Oh, we've had contact. Someone's around in the dirt.
That's Michael Spithill.
Got to be careful with the rejoin there.
Yeah, that was Spithill. I think that was contact with Wilder, who was to the outside on the entry and just drives straight through the rear of him. It looked like he wanted to undercut the inside and then decided last minute, no, I'm not going to. And then just didn't pull the car up and made the contact there. Brock, that's a very weird one, very messy. But I think there may be a penalty coming for Wilder. I don't think the redress is going to do much to help him in that case, to be honest with you.
No, I'd agree there. I think that you're going to, for Wilder, you're going to see a penalty of some sort. Might be a lessened penalty because he's given up that time. But yeah, very weird one. You don't often see people rear-end and then spin someone around. So clearly Wilder just carrying a bit too much pace in there. And Spithill was the unfortunate victim. But they have carried on and haven't lost too much time in the scheme of things. But I'd imagine you do have to penalise these things if you race control. That was an incident where Spithill has lost time.
Right, and as stated, we suspect race control. Look at it. John Trott's now actually come to pit lane. His teammates Barber and Rowney have actually continued on here on circuit, so they've opted not to come in to this stage. We're right on board with the race leader. Magnus Rowney has not left the race lead this whole race. He started on pole. He's led every single lap to this point. Maybe he's just trying to limit how many other people can lead the race, Brock, by running this car dry. And as stated, I mean, I don't mind the strategy of running it dry because he's playing for a safety car possibly, which will give him the free stop and ultimately means that he may be able to put slightly less fuel in. But also, I'm of the opinion that because he's running longer in a timed race, he's playing the smart game for longer, right? Because if he runs this car out longer, uses all the fuel available to him, and then comes into fill, it's going to extend the time for that final stop a bit closer to the end of the race, which gives them a better opportunity to get home in less pit stops if it is a safety car affected race throughout the rest of this one. I know we haven't seen it for the first 40 minutes. It doesn't mean it can't happen on the last hour and 20.
I completely agree. I think that it's, for me, racing, I would always try and run the tank dry. I think that they just get you every minute that goes by, and there we go. I'd imagine he is absolutely cruising in on fumes at this point. You said it earlier, Hamish, that 40 minutes was about that mark we'd see everyone in by, and we are just ticking over that right now as we speak. So yeah, I think running deeper in this race makes sense. The one thing you have to keep in mind is that your tyres, you will have to make last till deeper. So we'll probably see Rowney, if there's no safety car, take his set of tyres he's on now through till about the 1 hour 15 mark, 1 hour 20. And those will be pretty done by then, but then he'll get on a really nice fresh set of boots towards the end of this one. Other drivers will split the race more in half, where those fresh tyres at about the midway point will have equal wear for each half of the race.
So looking at the majority of the field, we're seeing roughly 25 second stops. That says to me no one's taken tyres at this point. It's only fuel to this stage of the race. I'm not seeing anyone, aside from Glenn Crellin and Ronald Long, who've just taken tyres in this stop. No one else out there I am seeing taking fuel and tyres, and it's not the case for Magnus Rowney. He's only going to take fuel, and just like last time, or sorry, differential to last time, Greg Barber's also only going to take fuel as well. Doug Gowans, though, has actually managed to undercut, although he has taken that shorter stop, remember, because he had less room in the tank to take that fuel. So he has had a natural gain, but he will need to give that back later in the race. Similar scenario to what we saw at Barcelona. He actually has Scott Rankin in behind him, but we know on the maths side of things, Rankin will be ahead of him after the next few pit stops in this one, when Gowans inevitably has to give that time back up in pit lane. Nathan Hodges has not come in just yet. Crucially though, Owen Coleman is now the corrected race leader. He has jumped Magnus Rowney in pit lane. And a great piece of strategy, he went 2 seconds faster in his pit stop. That has now given him the corrected race lead. And it's all on for Magnus Rowney to try and chase down Coleman to steal back the race win. Is it over though for Greg Barber to get this done so early in this one here, Brock? There's still an hour and 20 minutes to decide it. But ultimately, Coleman has now got clear track ahead of him.
That's, if I'm anyone out there, I'm shaking my boots a little bit at the thought of Coleman having a clear track ahead of him, because we know how fast he is. I mean, his fastest time at the moment is 2/10 faster than Rowney, and then the numbers, that gap continues to grow the further back you go. You know, he just has this ability to keep his tyres alive and keep putting in good laps. So what the guys behind him would probably hope for is either a mistake on Coleman's part, which we don't see too often, or a safety car to strategically bring them back in and give them that track position. So it'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on, but although Coleman is going to be the effective leader of our race, I still think between Rowney, Gowans, Rankin, Barber, even Butler and Webber in behind there, we've got a really good battle that'll go on for second place in this one.
Well, it's all going to be on, and pit lane is going to be one to keep an eye on. Hodges now into pit lane for his first stop of the race. That will now correct the order and decontaminate it down to where we're supposed to be sitting. To this stage of the race as well, you see Gowans is beginning to put the pressure here on Rowney. He's using that lighter car to his advantage, although ultimately, can he make up the time differential that he will have in pit lane for that final stop of the race, as Glenn Crellin's gone around right in front of the race leaders. He's gone around right in front of Owen Coleman, and that has held up the pack. And now it's a triple threat as he's lost the race lead, because Magnus Rowney's come by, as has Doug Gowans, and he did make contact. He made contact. It's damage on the front of Owen Coleman's car. Is the race win gone in a matter of moments? In the blink of an eye, has it disappeared? This is how it happened. But what a monumental moment. You just said it. We were licking our lips at the opportunity to see Owen Coleman attack this track in anger with clear track ahead of him, and it's lap traffic that has ultimately ruined that. But was it down to him, or was it down to the mistake? Crellin made the mistake, pulled it up. Coleman just had nowhere to go. Unbelievable.
That is... You can't find that any worse for a commentator's curse there, because as you said, we're just singing Coleman's praises, and you know what? Nothing he can do there. He's grip limited at that point of the track. He's already committing to the corner, and then you have a car spin in front of you like that, and that sort of front end damage on the car, that is going to kill him through the high speed parts of this circuit, and there is a lot of them. You can see him dropping like a stone at the moment, already down to 9th position here. I'm not writing Coleman off from this race. Just quietly. Safety car or something, I reckon his pace can get him back in here, but this is a huge blow and takes one of our key competitors out of it, at least in this middle part of the race. He'll come in and take his fast repair now. Yeah, I mean, no surprise that he's going to. The question is, though, you take the fast repair, do you take fuel and tyres as well? Just try and offset yourself a little bit, maybe offset your fuel strategy, just top the car up. It's an extra 5 minutes that you're going to have on the rest of the field. You get a safety car, all of a sudden you don't have to fuel save, and you've got one stop to the end. Is that maybe now the choice of Coleman? You just commit to a stop, get in that clean air, and try and push on and see where you end up. I think that's
bound to be the strat here, because you're coming into pit lane, you're giving up travel time anyway. Might as well take the fuel loss.
Hamish, I reckon you're bang on there, mate. He's already lost a heap of time anyway. What's an extra few seconds here to get those tyres on?
That's exactly what he's doing.
There you
go.
go.
Fuel in. Yep. So.
Oh, yep, there we go.
Elite strategy. I mean, it's elite strategy. You just top it up with fuel, because you never know. You never know what that free fuel is going to give you. And yes, he's obviously having to take an extra stop, which he doesn't want to this point. But ultimately, he's had the choice of, I can come into pit lane and fix my car, or I can come into pit lane, fix my car, top it up with fuel, and if a safety car comes out for around about the second stop of this, or the final stop of this race, I might be on the good for the fuel, and I might be okay. So that's what he'll be thinking about here going forward. Now, especially if it comes around that hour and a half marker, where we'd be, or maybe hour and 20 marker, where we're hoping we're going to see cars be able to get home from. So that is sound strategy for Owen Coleman. One that may still pay off for at least a podium finish here today. I don't know how the race one's going to go from though. Hot battle here, Jack Flahovic in the back end of the top 10. Mitch Hobbs in behind him, with Patrick Reardon, Daniel Magri, and Brad Coates as well, all involved in this one. And if you may be confused by the Elite and Challenger at the top of your screen and the colouring on the tower, those are the different driver classes you'll find in this field. The Elite class of drivers, the top level, your Pro drivers in the orange class, the Challenger class, they're more your Pro-Ams and Ams in the silver classification here today as well. So that's just to explain that one for you if you were wondering as well. You will always find that information, as well as Patrick Reardon runs wide, gets us Daniel Magri though has actually got a slow down ahead of him, so he should get that position back again. But if you're ever wondering about that information, you can check the description of the stream. It tells you all the info of where we are, classifications, who we are as broadcasters as well, and the series that we're broadcasting here too.
Always good to be able to reference back. We're racing some really cool tracks all around the world in this series, so it's good to be able to know where you are. And for people who have been sim racing for years, you'll probably be able to tell it from one picture of one corner of one frame of this stream. But for those of you who are new and watching this for the first time, just getting into iRacing, it's good to know where we're going racing so that you can get out there and give it a go yourselves. So you could be one day one of the people out here racing if you can get your entry in fast enough, because let me tell you, this limited series, the entries go
close in about 2 minutes.
They're gone.
I think it was close.
Yeah,
like,
about that.
Something that, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that it closed in all of 2 minutes. Can confirm as well, and thank you for answering it in the chat as well, Brock. Everyone has done one stop to this stage. To answer your question, Shareware Ruiz, he's right here, P14. He's up one position. Just the back end of this battle to this stage. Could be on for a top 10, especially with Patrick Reardon going around ahead of him at Dunlop. That's going to give him a spot, so Ruiz actually now to P13. Reardon will be licking his wounds, trying to pull himself forward once again. I don't know why. I mean, I spent all day today, Brock, watching along the Bathurst 1000. I was actually glued to my screen majority of it. About 97% of that race I watched and had a great time watching it as well. And I don't know why, I just feel happy with sim racing today. It was a great race that I got to watch earlier. I was excited for this one tonight here at the Nürburgring. It's a fun day to be a sim racing fan, I feel, and I'm just enjoying the racing at the moment. And I'm really enjoying what we're seeing tonight here at the Nürburgring. It excites me for the final 3 rounds we have coming up with Road Atlanta, with Sebring, and with Daytona for that US triple header coming our way at the end of this season.
Oh, absolutely, and I think this is the thing, is that sim racing in Australia, I think, is in the healthiest place it's ever been in terms of competition. We have such a great pool of drivers that love going racing day in and day out. It's literally day in and day out with the amount of broadcasts that we get to see and the amount of drivers out there racing. So I can agree with you on that side of giddiness of it's really exciting to see where our community's at, and we're in for a good one. I mean, we're looking at great battling on screen right now with Flahovic and Hobbs as well, and these guys going at it. But this is the sort of battle, we can only cover one battle at a time, but these sorts of battles are going on all the way through our 50 car field as well.
So here darting in and out as well, Vlahovic just about hangs on to this manoeuvre as Hobbs tried to go up the inside, couldn't quite get the job done. So there's a little bit of debris on the road there from the gravel trap from incidents prior to now, so that hasn't been a major factor to this point. The corner that's actually been the one of question is down here at Dunlop for turn 7. So this has really been the corner that drivers are having to be cautious of all throughout this race. We've had a few minor off tracks here and there for some drivers, but it's been relatively clean with no safety car intervention just yet. Just further back here is Jake Robillard, the current Challenger class race leader to this stage. He's got one car but 7 seconds in between himself and the next car behind in his class. That is the next car behind him, Benjamin Wilder, but he's not his competition in class. That is Logan Murphy just in behind him. We know as well that obviously drivers are scored on an overall scale here, so from P1 down to P50 odd is where they're scored from. So if you can get a good performance and a good finish as a Challenger class driver, that can pay off a lot better than, let's say, you're battling for P1 in class. And I am a preferrer of the overall point scale, Brock, because it means that if you have a really good day, you get paid for it. If you have a really bad day, you have to pay the piper for it, unfortunately. So it means that if Rob Allard can get this car into the top 10, he will reap the benefits of a top 10 worthy day, more so than he might have gotten for P1 in class, which has worked out quite well for him. As Ben Johnson now moves down the inside of Logan Murphy. Matt Gerard as well. Ben Wilder is going really, really slow. It's 3 wide. Down towards 10-1, and Gerard has managed to pick up the pieces here as Murphy is bleeding positions because Brant Tucker's going to come up the inside as well. What has happened to Logan Murphy? Seems the Mustangs have been going at it, and perhaps he's dropped a little bit of pace across the end of this lap.
Yeah, and Tucker there, just there to pick up the pieces of that one. This is for Challenger position as well, so not only on track as you were talking about, Hamish, trying to get these cars up throughout the field, but he's battling here for Challenger position. This is for the glory of the Challenger Championship. Not quite able to get it done, but it's got him a lot closer to Logan Murphy there, but he's got a little bit more to worry about with Tonkin. Tonkin behind him, going down the inside. Be careful here, it's tight through this section of the circuit. Tucker going to hold off Tonkin. Tonkin, if he can get the run here, might be able to get a move going down the end of this little straight. Not looking like anything's going to happen, but this has given Murphy the breathing room he's needed. Tonkin wanted to have a look. He did, decided it wasn't worth doing, but I tell you what, Tucker was looking very strong in that first sector. All of a sudden, he's fallen back into the clutches of Tonkin.
That's exactly right. Continuing just to push on to this stage as well. We can see as well is just put out there in the chat too, if everyone can see it. They should be able to see it because I've posted it as a moderator. You'll find the link to our broadcast YouTube channel actually away from PL over on Infinity Broadcasting, where we are actually simulcasting this broadcast today. You can help support us over there by following that link, clicking the like button, subscribe to the bell icon as well. We're just about hitting 400 subscribers, actually very, very close at the moment, so you can help take us to that road by helping support us over there. You can help support PL as well by clicking the like button to subscribe and the bell icon over here, as well as that battle between Murphy and Wilder is continuing on. Pell at the moment, only 17 subscribers away from 700, so please help us by liking and subscribing on this channel too. But this battle is not over. They're all getting into it as Brent Tucker continues to pressure Logan Murphy. Can he get the job done down the inside this time? He couldn't on the last lap. Watch for Stephen Tonkin in behind, who looks to lurk up in position as well. It almost feels like deja vu for the last lap, but somehow Tucker gets it done and he parks it right on the apex to drop Logan Murphy back a peg, and now takes home P21 to this stage.
That was so close to turning across the nose of Murphy there. That was a risky manoeuvre by Tucker. Paid off in this circumstance, and Murphy obviously got on the brakes a bit to avoid an incident there, but Tucker was not giving him the opportunity to come back at him like he was able to do last lap. It was a bit of deja vu in the turn one there, but I'm sure Tucker will be happy to say that he has taken that position off his Challenger counterpart and is now into 21st overall.
See as well, Magnus Rowney still leads the way with Doug Gowans on his heels. Scotty Rankin, corrected order P2 at the moment. If he can close up that gap, that will really help him solidify that for himself. Jesse Butler back in P3, feeling the pressure from championship leader Greg Barber to this stage of the race as well. Good points on offer here tonight. If Barbs can finish on the podium, he'll maintain that championship lead going into the next race, as that is a spin for Matt Webber at the final corner. A big mistake for the Mustang, and what is happening to the Mustangs at the final corner? That's not the first time we've seen him get loose through there, Brock, but unfortunately for him this time, it's ended up in a pirouette and dropped him multiple positions to this stage.
Yeah, bad going to worse there for Matt Webber. I'd be interested to know what his traction control setting is on, because with incidents like that in these GT3s, it makes you wonder, are you getting the gas on too early, and is your traction control nice and low, which has its benefits, because having it low gives you more acceleration, because you're not having that traction control cut in and try to stop the car whenever it gets loose. But it comes with the danger of exactly what's happening to Matt Webber here, is the car can get loose easier and is easier to lose These Mustangs have some giddy up in that rear axle as well. So unfortunately there for Webber, he's got a bit more fight in his night left to go. But he does have pace. He's only dropped to 8th, but we were watching him battle for first earlier in this one, so certainly not where he would want to be at the moment.
Oh, that's right. We're hurting him in terms of loss of positions. And there you see that battle pack we were watching earlier on, headed up by Jack Vlahovic and tailed by Rui Koistra. They actually haven't really swapped any positions just yet. But again, they're playing the long game, waiting to keep the fuel on board. I've actually just noticed Greg Barber's had an off track as well. It was a minor one prior to Matt Webber's. So this was actually what happened to Barber. He did hold on to it though and held on to position. I have to wonder if he actually just maybe ran it wide, got a little bit too far out possibly. I think that was the case. So it was a non-issue apparently for Mr. Barbs on that moment there. But he's running super strong, doing a great effort at the moment. We're only 5 minutes away from our 1 hour marker of the race. It's being headed up by Magnus Roundy to this point in time, with Jake Robillard leading for the Challenger class further down the order. And this pack of cars continues to fire up in front of him with Rui Koistra battling with Trent Stapleton. Rui's actually dropped some spots here on... oh no, actually no he hasn't. I will correct myself. He's just trying to put the assault on now, so I think he's actually maybe stopped wanting to hang back and just started to push on as this battle pack in front of him maybe is just starting to slow him up a little bit.
This is the point where I believe the mindset shifts, right? We're getting to this halfway point. You're probably anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes away from your next pit stop or getting close anyway. That's where your mindset shifts. You're trying to get a bit of track position. You're about to put on some fresh tyres, get the car fueled up again. The track's getting cooler as well, so the car's getting faster, hopefully, if it's set up right. So this is where now you're going to start seeing people turn that mindset. We were just talking about this from endurance mode into sprint mode. Speaking of sprint mode, Logan Murphy must have heard me about the tone shift, because he is sprinting to the back of Tucker and trying to make something happen. He's going to take the off track there to try and get a bit of pace up on Tucker into this arena section. Nothing is going to happen there. This is all about flow. You've got to set up the move through this section, and he does. Look at the momentum he's trying to carry. Gets a bit loose there out of turn 4. Nothing is going to happen down here. Tucker looks to be sporting a bit of damage on that back left, not really affecting his pace it seems, but Murphy down the inside here. They're going to make contact. Oh, Tucker giving him not even an inch through there. They're going to go side by side here, Hamish. These guys are fighting tooth and nail.
They are. This is going to end in tears if they're not careful. Down towards Dunlop. He'll shove it up the inside, get the job done. Tucker will back out of it for the moment, but the challengers are really starting to get into it with each other now. Up through the Schumacher as they'll rise once again as Murphy continues the charge. It was a good late lunge that ended up just dooring Tucker out of the way. We'll see if race control have anything to say about it. I think it's play on to personally. They're still rolling, they're still running. He just wedged it in there a little bit, you know. He didn't really take him off track. He just said, my car's here, your car's there, I'm going to take the position. A bit different if he did shove him off track or he spun him round, but they're still going and it's play on, so I think that's what the ruling should be if race control were to rule on it. Murphy, though, is going to begin to feel the pressure here in just a moment's notice as Tucker continues to apply that pressure behind. He's got Benjamin Wilder, a inter-class battle. That is an elite class driver at the head of this, with Murphy, who we're focused on as the fourth place challenger, that Johnson and Gerard had gotten past him only a few laps ago. As they roll down towards turn 1 once again, we continue this fight on towards the hour marker and the halfway point of this race, as it's 58 minutes and 50 seconds, the differential to this point in time. And I think one man we're definitely going to bring in at some stage here, but I think we might wait till after his pit stop here, Brock, is this man Scott Rankin. Because not only do I want to ask him how he's feeling after his very long day, and he's actually spun it round. That was actually going to lead me on to the point I was going to make, was the endurance factor, the mental endurance that Scott Rankin is having to endure right now. He has spent the better part of nearly 7 hours in a broadcast booth today, calling that Bathurst 1000 for the V8 Pro Invitational Series. That's a very, very long day in a broadcast, but it's very mentally straining, as you would know, Brock, and for those out there may not know, it is a very mentally straining thing to do to commentate for 6 odd hours. He's then done a NASCAR race after that and has now gotten ready for this one as well. He needs to be careful that this isn't something that actually begins to affect him now, because he doesn't want it to be the first domino to fall in the house of cards that is holding up his race result tonight. So for Rankin, he's got to reset, he's got to push on. May even be a good shout to get in pit lane soon, just to reset the screws a little bit, make sure they're all tightened up and push on for the rest of this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know what, like, full credit to Scott for turning up tonight, because he's had a massive day of it, and as you said, Hamish, if you've commentated or if you've sim raced for a few hours on end, it takes it out of you mentally. It's a lot, and we were pleasantly surprised to see him turn up tonight to race, because we thought after the day he's had, he'd be asleep or with a beer in hand on the couch watching us. No, he's coming here, he's competing.
Well, to be fair, I've seen him previous to now do a full day of time on the Super Series and then still show up to commentate Pell afterwards as well. So, but I've previously done a day like that where it's been literally a full day. I've done a morning broadcast, an afternoon broadcast, and then I've gone on to do Pell broadcast, and I'm absolutely wrecked. I never want to do a triple header on one day again. It's horrible. Don't do it. I promise you, it's really bad. But it is a tough time. It's tough on your voice and it's tough mentally, because for those who may not realise it, we're ad-libbing the majority of the time. It's a very difficult thing to do, is calling something off the top of your head and ad-libbing for a 2-hour race after you've done it all day. It's very difficult. And for Scott, he is feeling that at this stage. But we'll catch up with him after his next pit stop, because I don't want to interrupt him right now, knowing that he will probably come into pit lane. Actually, no, he might not be too far away. Oh, he put it on lap 17. Well, lap 32. He's probably 2 laps away, actually. So we'll give him maybe 5 laps, and then we'll bring him in, just in case he does come into pit lane in that time. And we'll see how he's feeling, because I want to ask him, because last time we were at this track, he was actually commentating and not racing. But now, 7 seasons later, he's on the other side of it. He's on the circuit instead of in the commentary booth, as that's contact with Stephen Tonkin and Brett Tucker. And we've seen them get close together already tonight. Tonkin is no stranger to maybe pulling the strings a little bit too tight on his moves, and that has not paid off for either of them. He has regressed further back though, but ultimately, was it on Tonkin or was it on Tucker? It's tough to say. Was he far enough up the corner entry, or was it worth him trying to make it too wide? That is the ultimate question on that one there, Brock.
I think going back, I've just gone back and had a look at that replay. It looks like Tucker probably would have been told by his spotter he was clear, and then Tonkin drove into a gap that was disappearing. So I think on that one, I would expect Tonkin to receive probably a 5-second penalty, nothing more than that, as they both got going again, and Tonkin did regress in a sense. But yeah, definitely, I know Brand personally, and I know he's going to be fuming under the helmet at the moment at that incident and wanting to make something happen here. So yeah, one of those ones that we just didn't need to see, but he'll get on with it. They're both going to get on with it. He's now stuck behind, I believe that's Webber.
That's Hallinan. That is Hallinan, Webber's teammate, yeah. So he's in this now, is Brent, and I do not blame him at all, Brock, if he is fiery at this stage and the red mist is out, because we've already seen it previously tonight. Tonkin has been like sort of sniffing and nudging the rear of that car. You can see a little bit of damage from the previous nudges that he's put onto it, where he's just trying to dart the nose in at the very last moment. And I think to this point, Brand will probably be feeling it, and from what we've seen thus far, I think we're feeling it too, that Steve probably just needs to stop trying to dive it in at any moment, because he's only going to frustrate himself, and he's only going to risk taking out another car, which he's nearly done on Brand only that lap ago.
That's exactly it. And you know what? Yes, we are in the second half of this race, but it's still a long race. We've still got just under an hour to go here. Another pit stop to come. A couple of pit stops. Most drivers haven't pitted yet for that second stop. So, yeah, bit of calm and just setting up those moves. You know, this is all about racing in these races. It's all about learning your opponent and what they're doing well and what they're not, and taking advantage of the places they're not as strong or where their car isn't as strong. The beauty of this series is we have so many different cars. So, yeah, that's. I do agree. It pays to take a bit of a breath and just reset yourself a bit. That's what Tucker seems to have done, and he'll get going. A bit like what Scott Rankin's done after that spin. He's reset himself and just keep going as well. That's the sort of mindset you need to have in this longer race.
So they're right. Rui Koistra is now into pit lane. So he'll drop some spots here as he'll get his second stop done at us. We previously saw Doug Gowans come into pit lane as well, which we suspected was going to be the case because of his splitting the race into quarters strategy. And actually he has taken tyres on that stop. It was a 20-second fuel stint, 21 seconds for tyres. That says to me, that should be a full set of tyres, surely, for 40 seconds. That feels correct for Doug. So I think that would be the case to this point in time. He is leading a battle pack further back, and trying to undercut the field. Fresh tyres could pay big dividends for him, especially in his battle with Scott Rankin and him trying to extend the gap over Scott Rankin as well. But after Scott's spin, I'm wondering now how far he can actually push this car, because he was last pitted on lap 17, we're on to lap 34. We may see him come down pit road to, again, just kind of push his strategy out a little bit, but ultimately, he's got to find a little bit of time here, and he's got to find the opportunity to pit this car for an extra bit of fuel later on in this race. We'll see if that can come about.
Yep, that's it. So, expect Doug's doing the same thing he did last round, which is coming in and splitting this race nice and evenly. Now on board here with one Mr. Scott Rankin, so he's going to keep going around where it was still a bit early for most people to do their stops as they pitted in that sort of 30 to 40 minute window of the race. So really what we need to keep an eye on here is these guys here, Rankin and Webber, they're trying to come back through the pack. They both had a spin each in this one. We both know they've got pace though, so these guys will be hurting a bit on their older tyres, but keen to come in. They're going to wait until their fuel tanks are empty. Then the next half of this race is going to be all out on your fresh tyres and trying to take advantage. That's where Gowan right now on fresh tyres needs to be pushing hard, because this is the biggest advantage he'll have in the race over his competitors, is having fresh tyres while they're on older 1 hour plus old tyres.
And he's got to use his ability to cut good lap times to his advantage now as well. I mean, Doug's a very, very talented and experienced driver, and you know, he's probably the best example of a Pro-Am driver out there. If you were to think of what would be our the Open League, right, which has guys like Damon Woods, Zach Retro White, stuff like that involved in it. Doug is probably on that Pro-Am level below them. He's very, very quick on his best day. He is obviously colloquially known as Grandpa because he is an older driver, but that comes with experience. We didn't see this strategy pay out the best of ways for him in the last round out at Catalunya, but the Nürburgring is a race where it can work for you, and it's one where we may see this work out for him if the fresh tyres benefit him and if the clear track around him works for him as well. I mean, he's got 4 seconds in front of him of clear track. That is a world in front of him. So this is only going to benefit him. Looking at his last lap time, it was a 1:55.45, so he's actually not outlapping the race leader or anyone in the top 3. He's also not outlapping, crucially, Scott Rankin, who's just done a 1:54.47. So he has to find some pace if he wants to keep that car ahead of Rankin, who is really pushing this car now with Matt Webber in behind him. Knowing the sort of pressure they've got the lap traffic ahead of them in Ben Baker, who will just look to maybe let them go. But ultimately for Rankin, he's just got to keep doing what he's doing, and he's got to hope that Gowans doesn't find the lap time. But we know though, Brock, it's going to take a good 4 to 5 laps for these tyres to get up to temperature and for the lap times to come down. For that time differential, is it going to be enough for Gowans to actually get a benefit from these tyres? Or ultimately, is it all for nothing because of how quickly the other drivers better get on their fresh sets?
I think the true benefit for Gowan here is those tyres coming to life sooner than later, which he will be just about in the window where they're going to be starting to give him the grip he needs. And then it's going to come in when we start to see our leaders come in, you know, Rowney, Butler, Barber, Trott, Rankin, Webber, you know, some of these guys who are up in front of the field, starting to see them come in and actually come out of their cold tyres, and then Gowan's going to have to make some quick moves before their tyres come up to temperature. So we know Gowans probably doesn't have the outright pace of our leaders here at the moment, but we know that on warm tyres he'll be able to get past them and absolutely defend up a storm. So he's just got to be trying to cycle these tyres in nicely, make them work for him, and then go from there. Looking at the leader now, Marcus Rowney. Rowney has been a standout tonight. Great battle with Coleman earlier on. Coleman unfortunately got involved in that incident with the lapped car about 30 minutes ago now, and is still continuing the fight back through the field, currently in 19th, but Rowney has pretty much been unstoppable at the front of this one. There's Coleman there in 19th. Very good recovery considering he's an extra stop down on everyone else in the field at the moment, I might add, or most people in the field, and I reckon we can, without a safety car, I'm venturing a bet we'll see him in the top 10 by the end of this one.
I think so, because yes, he gave up on track time, but ultimately he's able to fight that back with his lap pace as well, obviously, as he runs a little bit wide. But we're going to see him come down pit lane again. He'll get some tyres on board, he'll get some fuel aboard. He previously took a 7.3 second stop as Mitch Hobbs now enters pit lane as well. So what sort of fuel advantage does that give him? We're going to get a much better view of it, of course, towards the end of this race, knowing if he needs a splash or not. I don't think he will. I think this will actually offset him enough that he'll be okay to get to the end, but he then needs to try and use the pace to his advantage and hope the traffic doesn't hold him up too much, because Ben Wilder, I don't think, is going to be willing to give this position up anytime soon, knowing that he is beating Coleman. But then you've got a question, is it worth holding Coleman back knowing that he's had that second stop already, or is it worth you holding him back based on his pace? I mean, sometimes it's better just to let him go, let him drag you forward, knowing that he's not necessarily your fight throughout the rest of this one. With still less than 50 minutes to go, Coleman's not his battle. He doesn't need to fight him. I would just be letting him go at this point.
Yep, I'm with you there. I think you see someone come through who you know has got more pace over you, and that's just it's a decision you make in the interest of your race and their race, really. It's just good etiquette on the track to know that you're where you are on pace, and you just need to keep going and try and make what you can out of your race. All that's going to happen is if you try and fight Coleman is potentially an incident, because he's going to get more in the lead behind you trying to get past. So yeah, it's a bit of common courtesy really for your race and for theirs. It goes a long way in a 2-hour race like this tonight.
It does indeed, and we'll see what Magnus Rounding can do in that as well. Obviously, we know that he is we know that he's obviously a very talented driver at the front end of town, and at a top level driver as well. But ultimately, he's just trying to keep that car in check, keep that car nice and tidy, and push it on, as well as Glenn Crellin has just had a moment, and we've already seen this car be involved in an incident today at that same corner there, Brock, and it was the one that actually made contact with Owen Coleman earlier in the race when Coleman had nowhere to go. Is this going to be a mirror image of that incident once again, where the McLaren's rear end has come around and he hasn't set this car up properly? It is exactly that, the exact same spot. Owen Coleman, look away if you're watching this back, because that is deja vu for you. But that was the exact thing I was talking about, Brock, that this car, the rear end on it, is absolutely horrendous at the moment, and unless you can set up around it, it is going to spit you off like a raging bull. And ultimately, I've seen that previously in other series, and we've just seen that again here tonight with Glenn Crellin.
This is where, okay, we've got another spinner, Ben Baker.
Yeah, indeed.
Towards the back of this one, so he just gets, is this going to be almost a mirror image of Crellin's incident here? So down to turn 3, very wide there, and he's spun around.
And I'm sure you've done this too, Brock. It's like you come into that part of the corner and you carry that little bit too much speed, and as the car kind of waits out because it wants to go out wide, doesn't want to turn in, you kind of feel it get light, and then all of a sudden it's just coming around on you as it gets heavy again. That's what's happened to him, and it's a tough thing to try and catch, and really those slow spins are the most difficult to pull up and the most difficult ones to catch at the best of times.
Which is crazy, because you'd think it's the opposite. The fast spins are the hardest ones to catch, but no, it's those slow ones where you feel the car go, and then it really, there's nothing you can do to stop it. So, good recovery there to not, by Baker there, to not come back onto the track and go onto the grass and get that spin done, though. I think that's worth saying, a good re-entry there. Now, back at turf, looking at Rue Koristra, checking in on where he is at the moment, having done his second pit stop as well. Back in 39th, but that will all shake out a little bit.
It will, and we can see too, obviously, with those cars that have taken their second stop, those that have taken their tyres to this point, you'd be mad not to take them to this stage. Yes, it's going to give you time on track, but across the next stint of this race to the final stop, you're going to give up the time you gain in pit lane. Unless you could run mad lap times on old tyres, Brock, and really with the Nürburgring being a track that eats up tyres, it's not going to benefit you not taking them to the stage. You'll gain, 20 seconds? Are you going to be able to hang on to that 20 seconds for the rest of the race? I don't think so. Because especially if you have to take tyres late in the race, it's going to hurt you. As that is a car going slow. That was, I think, that was Brendan Purcell, who's previously had an off-track. That car is limping back to pit lane. Was there contact with Leo Dreyer, who was in behind him? If there was, it was net code, but I don't think there was. I think that car just decided it was going to veer off track.
Yeah, that's what it looked like there. An unfortunate one, nosed it into the tyre wall there, which doesn't look like too much damage, so he'll keep on going at the moment. But this just shows, probably something we haven't talked too much about at the moment, is the fatigue factor of doing a race like this. And that's that as you get a bit further into this, you start to get a bit hot and bothered. It does have an effect. You get a few more off tracks, the car goes a bit wider, you drift a little bit, you're not quite as precise, and those are the sorts of mistakes that start to happen. Now, in saying that, Magnus Rowney has been mistake-free for this race. He has just been unstoppable out the front for OPR, and despite the fact that he had that battle with Coleman, and we chatted about Coleman and his poor fortune earlier, Magnus has taken full advantage of the fact that he is now back in the lead of this one. And he's not leaving a chance. He is getting out as far ahead as he can at the moment to try and make this a dominating win, provided we don't have any safety cars.
Well, that's right, and yeah, ultimately, safety cars have not been a factor here today, and well, it's kind of becoming the trend of this race, and I kind of understand why. I mean, this track's obviously very open, Brock. There are some spots where the wall is close, but we don't really have high-speed sections where the wall's close enough that you would actually cause enough damage for the need of a safety car. And without that early pile-up in this race, I don't know if we're actually going to get one now throughout this one. Obviously, we look ahead to the next three rounds of Road Atlanta, Sebring, and Daytona. We almost feel like we're guaranteed a safety car in every single one of them. But here at the Nürburgring, it doesn't necessarily feel like that, and it never really has without weather intervention. And I think without that intervention today, this should stay green to the end, especially with how the field is driving. I mean, it's very, very close and clean battling all throughout. Ultimately, I think that this race, as I said, I think this race stays green, and I think it's going to come down to that pit and fuel strategy that drivers are trying to implement today. The way it's going, it might be Magnus Rowney's to win, but Owen Coleman is going to try and do everything he can to try and chase that down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the moment, no one is stopping Magnus Rowney provided there isn't a safety car. Or another incident like what we saw with Owen Coleman. You know, those things do happen here. It is a wild racetrack out there, and despite the fact that, yeah, your points are very valid, Hamish, about this track, it is a bit wider. The parts of the track where you're going to make a mistake at speed, the walls are a bit further away. But in saying that, people can still have a spin, just like McMenamin there. Turn 2 and 3, he's managed to catch that something. I don't know how he managed to. That looked like it was at pretty high speed. I'm going to have a quick replay here. So this is out of turn 2. He's just got loose onto the AstroTurf and curbing there, managed to catch it over the grass, not come back onto the circuit, and then keep going without interrupting anyone else. I've got to say, unfortunate that he spun, but a very good piece of driving to keep it on the track.
Exactly right. We can see as well now too, in the pit lane is Scott Rankin finally as well, but yeah, as he continues to push on, he's finally taking that stop, so we'll be able to catch up with him momentarily. Zach Vlahovic has also come in, Logan Murphy as well, Matthew Gerard, Ben Brook in there, and one of the few Lamborghinis as well as Ben Wilkes also comes into the stage too. When will Magnus Rowney pit? Well, he went 40 minutes on his first stint, which says to me that he can get this done in one more stop. With that coming up in possibly 90 seconds time, it should be one more lap for Rowney. And remember I mentioned the qualifying lap record that we previously had of a 153 point, I think it was point 124. The fastest lap of the race for Magnus Rowney was a 153.77. So he's about 6/10 off the fastest qualifying time that we've ever seen around here in Premier Endurance League, so he's in good pace stead at the moment. It shows that even modern GT3 machinery is just as fast as ever.
That's it. Pretty impressive to be that close to a qualifying record when you're in race conditions, mind you, even low fuel but old tyres as well. So here we go. John Trott is now in the pits. So beginning to see the rest of our field here come down, and I'd imagine, yeah, these next couple of laps we will see everyone cleansed and pit through for their second pit stop. Those that have pit a bit earlier will likely have to come and do a splash and dash with no safety car. Those that are pitting around now with a bit of fuel saving will probably make it to the end. So this is where that strategy comes into it a bit. And we talk sprint versus endurance. It's not an all-out sprint all the time. You do have to be a bit careful about how hard you go and what fuel you can save. Checking in on Doug Gowans now. So Doug was the first of our pit stoppers. We'll almost certainly have to do another stop for a splash and dash of fuel at the end of this one. But the curious thing here will be to see where he comes out in relation to the likes of Rowney and co, some of our leaders.
Well, not just them, but where he actually comes out in comparison to Scott Rankin, who he was closely battling with. They've now got, I was just checking just then, a 23-second differential. So Gowans has actually gained quite a fair bit because of those fresh tyres. Now, obviously, Rankin's going to start to turn it on now that he's on those fresh tyres as well. Gowans will have to do a full service here. Rankin won't. Rankin will just have to top up with fuel. So Gowans is about to take 20 odd seconds worth of fuel on board. Is it going to be enough time to cover the gap for their differential of fuel when Rankin inevitably has to come in as well? This is going to be a close and tight one, but right now the math says Gowans should be ahead based on the gains that he's just made with this lighter car on fresh tyres across this previous stint.
Yeah, that's it, the two different strategy differentials here. So Rowney in, our leader. Greg Barber in second, in the pits as well.
Importantly, they've both gone actually a lap longer on this stint as well, Brock. Very important. So they went 21 on the first stint, 22 on the second. I think this was enough just to offset them to make sure they actually get home here, because they should get home from this stop.
Impressive, impressive control, to be honest with you, to still get pace out of the car and fuel save like that. It's genuinely a really good effort from those drivers in Rowney and Barber to push the car as far into this race as they have and guarantee themselves that that stop to get them to the end. So yeah, they should be really proud of themselves with what they've done there, but they've still got 38 minutes of this one to run and try and make something happen.
Well, their teammate Nathan Hodges has continued on as well. He did 22 laps on his first stint, so we may expect him to come out next. Here comes Doug Gowans down the straight. Now we know that he needs another stop. So for Rowney, who will exit pit lane, he does not need to come through the pits again. Coleman is in pit lane for his next stop as well. So Barber's out. So now we have to watch where is Coleman going to be in comparison, because he should be taking tyres. So what was the true loss of the contact with Glenn Crellin in comparison? He's exiting pit lane now, and it's no tyres, only fuel on that car. And I tell you what, Brock, it's the one thing we didn't think about for him to try and bring himself back in this race. And that was double stint the tyres to the end. It is possible, and if anyone can do it, it's going to be Owen Coleman.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It is something that we didn't think of, and I reckon the only guy out there that could do it with the speed that he's got is Owen Coleman. So this is a big strategy here. We said that he could maybe end up around that top 10. That's right where he's sitting at the moment. So I reckon, oh geez, if he has a bit of pace left in these tyres and he can make it work, I expect to see him even further up the field.
I agree.
So this is impressive from Coleman, to be honest, to come from an extra pit stop from everyone, a fast repair to get your car repaired, and to be knocking on the door of the top 10. That's a really impressive recovery drive.
It is indeed. I just want to quickly show off here as well Janish Ragwani, who was asked if he's in the field tonight by Beep Beep in the chat with us. He is out there. He's down in P42 at the moment. That's why he wasn't showing on the tower. So he did start the race. His teammate Joe Hargroves has started the race as well. So both those drivers out there and rolling around to this stage. Top two are in now. Nathan Hodges, Vinny Nguyen, who didn't pit before. So Doug Gowans is going to become the effective race leader, but we know that he needs a third and final stop to get this car home roughly in 7 minutes time. The question is it going to be enough to hang on to a top 10, or is it going to be enough to hang on to anything? As into pit lane comes Daniel Piper for his final stop as well. John Trott will continue on. So the corrected order of things, very interestingly, will be Jesse Butler leading the way to Magnus Rowney, Greg Barber, John Trott. Has Butler got the fuel available to him to get home, because he has snuck his way to the front of the field out of nowhere with a 6-second faster stop than Rowney did, because he came in 4 laps earlier. Is this enough to get him home, or will he need a fuel save or possibly a splash and dash to get the Mustang to the checkered flag?
This is a really impressive effort from Jesse Butler. He's been a bit of a sleeper in this race. I have to admit, I saw him hanging around off the back of our top pack there, but didn't think too much of it. And now he's pulled a bit of a strategy masterclass here to get himself up there into second position. So now the question is, he's got Magnus behind him, but he may need to fuel save, and can he do both at the same time? Can he keep enough pace to keep Rowney behind? And can he fuel save to get to the end of this one? And track position is everything, but this track is certainly wide enough to have a crack and get some passes done. So right now he's in the clear. Butler's got a little bit of room to think about his approach and what he wants to do. But I tell you what, in a couple of laps, I reckon Rowney's going to be right on the back of him, putting the pressure on and trying to take back that first position.
Oh, he definitely will be. As further down the order, Vinny Nguyen, who has come out of pit lane, has gone off the road. That Frog Leap Juice Racing Porsche has not had the return to circuit that it would have wanted after that pit stop. How has this happened? Well, it actually looks like he's possibly done it all on his own, and he has. The rear end has come round as he's exited the arena. Off the track and into the grass, it is gone. Unfortunate for him on those cold tyres. He's now just going to try and push on and keep that car underneath him as best he possibly can as well. Tell you what a drive for Matt Gerard to this point, by the way, Brock. He's taking his last stop without taking tyres, mind you, so only fuel to this point as well. He's running the Owen Coleman strat. He leads the way for the Challenger class to this stage. If he can pull this off, this is a hell of a run to a hell of a performance for him. As Doug Gowans, the race leader, has had a minor off track. What has happened to Gowans? Up in the race lead, the car still looks okay, but this is not the strategy that he wanted to pull out. Run it wide in front of some lap traffic. And how has this happened to the race leader? Oh, it's a massive overstep, and he lost the rear wing on the wall as well. That's huge. Absolutely huge. And probably will take Gowans out of proper contention, but really, he's got to get the car in pit lane for that final pit stop, Brock. But can he do 34 minutes on a tank of fuel?
Yeah, well, look, that one there, with the car getting a bit lighter, with the fuel dropping down, that's where that will have come from. But turn 3 has been a real hard spot for a lot of drivers tonight. It's been a key spot, really, when you're on cold tyres or the car's light. And here, even Doug Gowans, who's our leader, who's been someone who's been unstoppable in this race, he has been brought undone by turn 3. So, interesting to see. The wing did pop off, but it did seem to go back on. So maybe the damage isn't too severe. The rear of the car doesn't look banged up. If I'm Doug when I go in my next pit stop, though, I'm taking my fast repair just to be safe. But now that has brought in Jesse Butler just ever so slightly closer, giving him that little taste of, okay, the lead's going to be mine soon.
Well, it's not going to be long until Butler gets the race lead. Gowans will come in to fix that car, take that final stop, and get that car to the end. So where will he end up? Butler now takes the race lead. Magnus Rowney is right there in behind. Greg Barber, what a strategy for OPR tonight. Could they be on for a podium lockout here at the Nürburgring, with Barbs and Trott on the possible podium if Butler needs that final stop in this one? This is seriously contested for those that have been able to strategize to perfection. Leo Dreyer, Brad Coates, well, 4 McLarens to look to be inside of the top 5, with Owen Coleman just ahead of Scott Rankin, by the way. So Coleman's no tyre strat seems to be working for him, but Rankin will really be trying to push on now, and I think now's as good a time as ever, Brock, to pull him in, have a chat to him, and see how he's feeling after such a long and tenuous day in the comms box and now in the race room as well. So we'll grab him and drag him down. Hello,
Welcome
Mr.
to the
Rankin.
comms box, mate.
Hello, Rankin.
Hello.
What a day you have had. You must be a madman to be racing in this thing.
I'm stuffed, and as it turns out, made a critical error at the start of the race. I think I left a 10-litre hole in the tank at the start of the race, and I think it screwed me. Yep. Yeah, I didn't check. I didn't triple check my fuel before the start of the race, and it's literally screwed me.
Oh no. Well,
So I've saved it. I've had to go on the mega save. I am bingo. I'm going to be coughing out of the last corner, I think. But
Okay.
it should be an interesting fight. So
Okay, well, we were talking about the mental fortitude that you need today, obviously, after such a long day. Maybe that had a part to play in that, obviously, just a little bit of brain fade.
Sure.
And we saw the obviously the on-track
Yeah.
incident as well you had too. But, I mean, this is this is as crazy as ever for you to try and pull this off after a 6-hour or nearly 7-hour day in the comms box. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah, this will be a feat. I've got to harass Owen at the same time because he needs the fuel save to get home as well. So he looks short, he looks weak. I love me a weak Owen Coleman. Just don't tell Owen that.
Well, if we don't tell him that, should we also not tell him about the IndyCar restart that you had too?
If I swear to God, if that ever sees the light of day, I'm suing Joe.
I'm going to get the clip off you. Well, Scott, we're going to let you go. We appreciate your time. Appreciate you being open to the chat as well. Thanks so much. Best of luck.
I'm so frustrated with myself, boys. Like, regardless out of anything, first and foremost, setup issues, they are mine and mine alone to handle. So that's not a complaint. That's a mistake. And yeah, I'm frustrated.
Wish you the best of luck throughout this one. Hopefully the frustrations can lead to a strong performance and strong finish.
Thanks, mate.
The temptation then to put him back in the wrong lane block was real, but I think we'd be losing our rights to stealing people if we did that. I think it would be worth it. Stapleton and Hobbs are coming to pit lane, by the way. What a good sport though for him to at least let us have a bit of a mess around with him. But what a mistake to make, missing Phil in the car at the start. That's got to hurt.
Yeah, good to chat to Rankin there. I think it just shows you normally Scotty's got a little bit more pep in his step, but tonight you can just tell how flat he is after a massive day. And we were talking about that mental effect and just that little things like leaving a bit of fuel out. I know it doesn't sound like much, but in these races where you really, we're talking about some people doing 2 stops, some doing 3, having to fuel save a lot. Like it really, they are decisions that make a massive difference in your race. So there for Rankin, great for him to have a chat to us, really good sport about it, and clearly tired and a bit frustrated after a long day, but nonetheless still out there giving it a crack and in 8th position at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing a great job as well, and I was just trying to see if we could pull anyone around, and I'm wondering actually, where did Owen Coleman just go? How did Owen Coleman just drop back? And I think he might have actually just had a slowdown, because Scott Rankin, I was trying to find if any other drivers I could drag in at the time that were relevant, but they weren't, unfortunately. But Coleman dropping back just there behind Magri and Rankin to that point as well. Just to correct on the position, thank you for that. Welcome to chat to Rue is at P11 to this stage, so we'll see what he looks like at the end of this one. He pitted on lap 33 though. That makes me question that he might need another stop to get this car home based on that. So I don't know if he's actually strategized this race correctly.
Yeah, that's a long old run home there for Rue. He's going to have to look. Fuel saving can work wonders if you can fuel save enough. It really can, but you've got to park that part of your mind of wanting to go fast to try and get that fuel going. And that's Gerard, who we were singing praises of, leading the Challenger class by not taking tyres, but perhaps this is the undoing a little bit of that at the moment. So is this going to be turn? It's going to be turn 3 again, isn't it?
It was, yeah, and that's and it's gone round on its own. Again, the McLaren seems to be just seriously spinning drivers out left, right, and centre here. And I have to wonder if it's, as we mentioned earlier, the light fuel loads. We saw it already in the Corvette of Gowan's. Is the lighter fuel load starting to affect the McLarens as well?
Could well be, and same with the setup issues we were talking about when we saw Krellin have a couple of spins there too, like that rear end wanting to come round on the McLarens. So even Scott mentioned that, Rankin mentioned that in our little chat there as well. The McLaren setup, you've got to be really precise with it, and he doesn't feel like the setup's quite right in the car, is what I think he was alluding to. So very much this is what we were talking about earlier. You've got to spend time with these cars and really make the setup personal to you and make it work. So, which is a challenge because there's a lot of other racing going on for a lot of these guys who we go racing with week in and week out in this series. Having a look here at Jake, so this is the battle for first in Challenger we're now having a look at here. After that spin for Gerard, we've now got Gerard and Rebellion minus third on track for the lead in Challenger. So this is going to be an intense battle here for the last 25 odd minutes of this race, as they've also got Nathan Hodges in behind, who isn't part of this class battle, but I'm sure would like to take some more points off of these guys.
He definitely would. Just steal it away from him as best he can. He's been strategizing really, really well in this race. He is down a few positions though as well. He's running that OPR strategy that we've seen, which has led to a 2-stopper here tonight. There we can see some of the time delta of the lap time history from Gerard to Robillard as well in behind, with Hodges trying to chase them down for that interclass battle too. And it's been a shame thus far tonight. We haven't actually seen a representation or the viewing of the Sudspeed Gloves safety car just yet. Adrian Gretsch has just had a minor moment. Let's see what's happened to him. But yeah, there's been no Sudspeed Gloves safety car just yet here tonight. This was Gretsch's moment down and around the back end of the circuit of the entry to Sector 3. The rear just spinning around on him there. Very, very hard to pull up in those front engine cars. He's managed just to at least keep it out of the wall. We do want to give a shout out though, of course, to the series sponsors, regular, of course, as well. With the likes of Dash Offroad, Sudspeed Gloves, Scorsa, Podium Printworks, and then as well Horsley Park Gun Shop 2 have all come on board for this season as well. Jesse Butler leads the way at this stage, but is there another pit stop needed to get this car home? Theory says yes. In principle and in action, will it be so? Time will tell. OPR will be devastated if they lose their possible podium lockout. Jesse Butler looking to steal it away from them. We can see here though, Magnus Rowney dealing with a little bit of lap traffic of Brent Johnson just ahead of him. His teammate Greg Barber, now championship leader as well after the last round at Catalonia, will look to lead the championship out of this race too, as John Trotty's teammate has run wide, taking a slowdown further back, possibly no, just the off track there. But Brock, it's really heating up as Robillard has had to come into pit lane. So there goes the battle for the race lead in the Challenger class. Robillard has had to give it up.
And now we're starting to see the people who are going to need a pit to get it to the end of this one are going to start peeling in soon and getting some fuel in. So really unfortunate there for Robillard. We'll see whether Gerard needs to come in. It was a very short stop for Robillard there. He's just literally done a splash and dash, pop some fuel in to get to the end of this one, and that's what's going to be happening for some of our drivers. Not all. Some have managed to, our leaders have managed to push through and get, essentially get themselves to that 2-stop mark, and that's all they'll need. But we've already seen Gowans and now Robillard. So this will be interesting, is how hard these guys are battling. Some will try and save fuel until the last moment when we're not going to see a safety car. That'll be about to, I believe it's the 10 or 15 minute mark. We will not see a safety car for the rest of this race. So these guys, that's where they're trying to get to. And if they don't get there, then they'll pit in and get that fuel. We're going to have a look at Brent Tucker here. Is this the turn 3 curse again?
Yes, it is.
He's gotten through there. It is in a Ferrari as well. So we've seen it. The corner does not discriminate. Regardless of what car, it can still bite.
Can indeed, and turn 3 has been the behest of the majority of the field today here out at the Nürburgring, and it's a fantastic place to come racing, of course, one we're very excited to be at once again, and we're looking forward to next round where we'll be going racing out at Road America for the 3rd round of the season. It's going to be a fun run. 3 rounds in a row will be going to the US, but no races in October though, unfortunately. We'll be returning to you in November for round 4 at Sebring, round 5 at Daytona at the end of that month as well. So it's a very, very fun way to come. And I knew he wouldn't be able to make it at the end. Ruud Koisters had to come back in pit lane. I knew it was too early. I knew he couldn't do it there, Brock. And unfortunately, I hate when I have to be right, because it means now that Koisters is going to be down the order, where those that have strategized to a 2-stop have played it to perfection.
The one good thing about there not being a safety car here, though, Hamish, is that the field spread's pretty wide. So we'll lose some positions out of this, but it won't be as much as if we'd seen a safety car early in this one, and then he's had to come in. So it's still going to be a half-decent result. He's still sitting in and around that top 20 mark. I just had Tonkin and Tucker pass him, but I imagine we'll see Brew with a bit of pace to be able to come back through and try to snag a top 20 out of this. Unfortunate, but I don't think he's going to be the last driver we see come in to top up with some fuel to try and make it to the end of this one.
No, I don't. I think we're definitely going to see more. It's just where is he going to end up in comparison. Robillard, we already saw him come in for a top-up. He's actually gotten past Koistra from this stop as well, but he still needs to try and chase down Matt Gerard, who is 27 seconds up the road. That podium currently sits Gerard to Johnson to Ben Brooks. There's actually a few Frog League Juice Racing drivers on that podium, as Luke Capozzo gets an off-track further round. Will enter turn 3 here. Keeps it nice and clean, better than his teammate Brent Tucker did, who spun it round a little bit before. Continues on to this stage of the race as well. Scotty Rankin, we know he's under pressure now from Daniel Magri. Magri shouldn't need a pit to get home. He pitted on lap 42. He should be fine in terms of the mathematics to figure out the strategic capabilities of these drivers and these cars as well. Ultimately, those that have pitted prior to lap 40, we look to think, are they going to make it home? Those being Ben Johnson, P2 in the Challenger class, Jesse Butler, the race leader at the moment, as well as Jack Bird further down in P21. Other than that, everyone around a Patrick Riventure lap 39, and as well Matt Webber lap 39, and Leo Dreyer who've been on lap 32. So there is still a little bit of decontamination to happen here, with a third stop to come for the majority of the field, as everyone is pushing the absolute limits at this stage of the race.
And that's what makes this challenge. That's what makes this series a bit more challenging. The admins do a really good job of not just making it a slam dunk, this is how your fuel's going to work. You really do have to think about your strategy right from lap 1, and that's with fuel save. Whether you choose to go all out on fuel save, you are making a decision early in this race about how you want to approach the back end of your race. And that's what makes this such a format of 2 hours, solo driver, with a fuel cap in place as well. It means that you have all the details you need at the start, but you've got to be thinking, you've always got to work backwards from the end of this race to the start if you want to try and win this thing. A bit like what Butler's done so far. I'm not going to say anything's done just yet because we have our doubts there, but he seems to have worked this well from the back of the race to the front. And now with 20 minutes or 19 minutes left to go, to be curious to see just where he goes. Looking at Leo Dreyer here as well, in a nice little pocket all by himself, up in 5th place here, up a couple of positions on where he started too. So Leo showing that speed that we saw him have in Barcelona as well. And Butler's in the pit lane. Butler's in, so we were right. He couldn't make it to the end of this one. Leo Dreyer is in as well. So we're seeing these last few cars peel in. That's the leader of the race, which is going to give back this OPR 1, 2, 3 podium lockout, which we were talking about. Now the question is, can all three of those guys make it to the end? I think so, based off what we've seen on the pit stops, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think so as well, and as well as that, we know that Matt Webber is going to be in a similar position, as will this man here, Patrick Reardon. Both of them pit on lap 39, and I don't think they can make it either here, Brock, and they're going to have to make a decision soon on when they come in. We then look to Ben Johnson, who's coming into pit lane as well, so off the podium he goes for the Challenger class. That will now promote Brent Tucker up and onto the podium. He's to gain 2 more spots, so if he wants to come have a chat to us post-race. Of course, we only chat to the race winners, otherwise we're here for about another hour, chatting to 6 different people, unfortunately, after such a long race. I don't particularly want to be around until midnight, Brock. I don't know about you, but that's the nature of late night racing. It just means we only have enough time for the race winners, unfortunately.
No, look, honestly, if we had it our way, we'd talk to every driver all night long, but I think a lot of us have jobs to get to tomorrow morning, so we have to unfortunately only chat to the winners, but I'm sure we'll get to hear some of the stories throughout the week. The Discord usually gets pretty active after a round of PEL, so that will be good fun to unpack. But looking at this little battle pack here, battle pack, I say, it's a couple of cars trying to work their way through. Brad Coates here, up in 5th position, up 13 positions on where he started, so worth shouting that out. The Revolution E-Racing driver having a really good run in that Shield Coat McLaren. Scott Rankin, though, right behind him at the moment, and looking pretty racy for a guy who's trying to fuel save to get to the end of this thing. So, I don't know, Mr. Rankin might be tired, but that racer's DNA, that sim racer DNA courses through his veins, and I don't reckon he's done having a crack at this one.
Well, I'm not surprised that he sounded deflated, as Daniel Magri now gets a slow down in behind him, so that'll ease the pressure. I'm not surprised he sounded deflated. You know, Scott Rankin's had a big day when he sounds very, very low energy, and he almost sounds upset. That's how you know he's had a very full-on day, which he has, and it's a very, I get very similar to him in that manner. I suppose maybe it's the autistic part of both of us, where we put all of our energy into a day and then all of a sudden we get to the end of it and we're just burnt out. And I think for Scott, he won't be far out of bed tonight. I'm probably glad he won't be coming to have a chat to us post-race, which is a very rare occasion that he's not happy to be having a chat to someone, as Owen Coleman continues to rise in the ranks here. But yeah, for Scott, I think he'll be happy to see his pillow, and he'll probably be happy to see his bed for the evening, I would say, after his very, very long day. Not everyone's going to have to pit 3 times tonight, Share, just to be honest with you. A lot of people have strategized to make it a 2-stopper today. That was how close the fuel was, actually. So because a lot of drivers actually made it a 2-stopper, it means that not everyone actually needed to pit again. So that's the one thing to think about now. So I know we said it was going to be a 3-stopper. I thought it was going to be. Rock thought it was going to be 2. I don't think neither of us anticipated that we were going to see two stoppers work, but ultimately we have today, which means we may see it work that way again at Road Atlanta next time on track, because it is a shorter circuit, much less fuel usage. That should be one to keep an eye on, as this is starting to fire up inside of the top 10. Brad Coates has caught a little bit of traffic ahead of him, lap traffic of Jesse McMenamin. How can he get past it and how can he traverse it?
This is tricky. I think, in my mind, if you're in this part of the race and you're a lapped car, that you probably just need to jump out of the way here. This is a battle for the lead at the moment. One of the lead cars, excuse me. And this is making it really difficult.
Contact!
And look at that. Coates has gone around, and that's in the sand trap. That should have never happened in that point of the track. The blue flag should have just popped out of the way. That just got in the way of a great battle unfolding there.
And he's turned in, not expecting McMenamin to still be there, ultimately. And yeah, I don't know why he's holding them up like that, because yeah, unfortunately for Coates, that's now taking him right out of it. Really unfortunate for Brad. That's allowed Rankin to get past, but it's also allowed Magri to get past too, although we suspect that, Magri's good actually now on his fuel. So we'll see what happens here if Scott Rankin can get back past him, as Owen Coleman has had a mistake and had a moment, and that will end it for Coleman's charge. Back up the order, and it looks to be down at the nemesis corner of possibly turn 3.
I reckon you're right there, and the witness marks say everything there. So we're going to have a look at the replay. Turn 2, down to the turn 3 here. And it's going to just go around to them. Yep, middle of the corner, as we've seen. Contact from behind as well from another car. More contact as he's right on the racing line there. It's a really difficult one for drivers to avoid. They've either got to go inside or out, but they commit so early there. And now it looks like Owen Coleman is parked up. And he's been given permission to tow, so he will get off the circuit with no safety car. Yep, so that has attended his race, unfortunately for Owen Coleman. That will drop him down the championship order. Of course, we don't know where the standings lie until the drop round is applied later in the season, but ultimately this would undoubtedly be his drop round for this season, Brock, if he can't put it together across, or if he can continue to put performances down across the next 3 weeks as well. As this round he continues to lead the way to his teammate Greg Barber and John Trott. And I wonder, I know that Magnus has earned this win. I wonder if there's a thought, though, for this team to let Greg get ahead of him, get the win, and solidify the points to extend his gap over everybody in the elite class. Knowing OPR as the team that I've seen them be, they're very good strategically like that. So I think there could be a mind to let him do something like that. It'll depend on what Magnus's commitment to the rest of the championship looks like, but OPR, we know they're a good outfit. We know how fast a lot of their drivers are, and they have a great presence in a lot of corners of Australian sim racing. It's a good thought there, Hamish. It's a left field one, but it's a good one. And Greg Barber is certainly making a case for why he should be able to try and get through on Magnus towards the end of this one, either with the team granting it or him having a crack. He is not giving Magnus an inch at the moment. He's not, as that there is Brad Coates off the road further around, and this is what happened to Brad whilst we were focusing on Greg. We'll leave his camera up for a moment because we can actually track how he's going in behind his teammate on his virtual cam, and that is another case of a McLaren losing its rear end and ending up off the track, unfortunately for Brad down there as well. Jack Vlahovic as well with a minor off track too. He'll get himself restarted and going once again, as everything is starting to battle around Brant Tucker, Vinny Nguyen and Jake Robillard as well. So it's all firing to the end of this race as everyone tries to fight their way to a good position. He's giving us a wave. He knows he's on screen. Hello, Barbs. Hello. But yeah, he knows he's on screen, and I'm sure he'll be enjoying that, knowing that he's got about 11 minutes to go with the lead of this championship sewn up to head into round 3. Yeah, good to see the smile there from Barber. He was loving that. I reckon he had someone in his ear going, "You're on the TV, give us a wave, give us a wave." That's probably Mr. Carton himself, Stefan McCartan, but yeah, quite possibly him as well. But as we see though, Greg is in dominant form, and this is what I expected of him last season, Brock. I was actually quite disappointed to see him
in a unlucky position last season to not do better. I knew he was capable of this from what I've previously seen, and I'm not surprised that he is in this position this season. OPR, that for a long time have been known of a great strategic mindset. We've seen it before in other officials for endurance racing and even in other events as well, and it's not too surprising that Barber may be, if everything goes his way, he may be 3 rounds away from claiming a championship for himself here at PDL.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? We were thinking about Barber earlier and whether he could get this done, whether he could get up to the podium. He was obviously a little bit further down, but he's done a great job and worked through, kept it clean. We said earlier on in this one, keeping it clean is such a big part of these races, just being able to not get any penalties, not get involved in any other incidents, and that's exactly what he's done. So whether he gets the win or not tonight, a second place is an excellent consolidation of his first round and really showing what he's made of for the rest of this championship.
Oh, Vinny Nguyen, another moment for him. And there's been a couple of moments here as well. Ben Wilkes is one of them who's had a moment with Daniel Piper. This looks to be down at turn 1. I think Wilkes has actually lost it on his own for AITX Revolution E-Racing. Yeah, Piper actually didn't hit him, which is pretty lucky actually. And this was Nguyen's moment, but this was with Piper. Was that with Piper as well? No, it's one of the Everything Simulating cars. He comes around turn 3. Actually made it past turn 3, but the contact was actually at turn 4. He just actually sent him off the road. So I think there'll be a penalty coming the way of that Everything Sim Racing entry, which I'm actually not quite sure who it was. So we'll have to find out post-race where that penalty is going to be going. But we've only got 8.5 minutes to go here. Magnus Rowney, Greg Barber, John Trott are only 9 minutes or 8 minutes away from an OPR podium lockout. Something that team is not strangers to, but they are somewhat strangers to in this particular series. This is a level of dominance that I've seen elsewhere, including Porsche Cup Racing, Supercars Racing as well, from their teammates such as Tom Freeman, even Dylan Shepherd and Jake Edwards as well, and even Stefan McCartan as well. But to see this sort of dominance from Magnus, Greg and John is unbelievable in this series.
Yeah, they've done a great job, and you know what? Just to shout out John Trott there. I've had a fair few great battles with John. He has been getting better and better each season he's participated in the Premier Endurance League, and continues to do so. This is just a great example of his pace and dedication to driving the GT3. Like, this has been a long time coming for him. He's, I've been battling with him in the top 10, top 15. I reckon we're going to see more from John Trott. If he's racing alongside like Barber and Rowney, he's only going to get faster and faster as the season goes on.
He will indeed, and we saw him have those good performances last season as well, and even the season prior for OPR, and it's only a matter of time before he does get another race win for himself, as Mitch Hobbs has had a moment in the field as well. He is still going, so actually this was only a minor spin and a stop, so I'm actually not going to show it off because there's no off track. I think he's just lost the rears, to be honest with you. Daniel Magri, though, really flying the flag for Riot Sim Racing at this stage. He's got Scott Rankin in behind him as they continue to fight their way forward towards Matt Webber in P4. Can Rankin solidify a top 5 after a tough day? Magri is going to make him answer every single question for it on board that Ferrari. And this is a hell of a spread of manufacturers in and amongst the top 10. One Corvette in Doug Gowan's remains up there. And then it's separated with Ferraris, McLarens and Mustangs, with the top flight non-Corvette Ferrari, McLaren and Mustang being the Lamborghini of Ben Brook, back in P4 Challenger class, but P20 overall. Shows that the field is enjoying those previously mentioned manufacturers at the top end of town, but again, how the landscape has changed with GT3 racing.
That's exactly it, and it's interesting when you see, even though you've got, it's so easy for everyone to choose just the one manufacturer, it's still really cool that there's 3 manufacturers that all bring some level of strength to the field. So that's actually really interesting to see that even in this top 10, that's 4 manufacturers with Doug Gowan's there in the Corvette as well. You know, we've got a really good split of the really fast ones, and then I love seeing some of the other drivers throughout the field, like Ben Brook and like Chapman Treya, the Lambo and the Audi. give it a go. Vinny Newen in the Porsche as well. Like, we're not just seeing, it's not a one-make cup we've got going here. We truly have a diverse field of GT3s. So, absolutely cool to see. And these guys, some of them, they do really make them work. Even if they're not the best car out there, they still make them work out there on the field. And I think that that's part of the enjoyment of watching this series.
Exactly right. And one thing we're seeing now is obviously some good strategic manoeuvres from some cars. As a few are now coming down pit lane. Matt Webber, inevitably, we thought he'd have to. He tried to fuel save it as much as he could, but he couldn't quite get it home. Greg Barber has a minor off track down at turn 2, but he keeps this car going. The question I have for you now is, when does Patrick Reardon, oh no, he already has pits, that question's already answered for me. It's not when he would have pit, it's when did he pit. It was lap 55. So Matt Webber takes his final stop of the race. It should mean now that everyone inside of the top 10 can get their cars home. And guess where Jesse Butler came out? P6 after all of that. So he was leading at one stage. He's P6 to this point, up 4 positions. So still a good result on the day, as Brant Tucker has found the grass on the back stretch. A wild run for Brant. It's not rallycross, but he certainly made a joker lap out of this one. What has happened to him down here?
I think he has been dumped, for lack of a better word there.
Oh, he has. And it's Jake Robillard.
Absolutely dumped.
And
that's a challenger battle there.
I think we found the culprit for the dumping of Vinny Nguyen earlier on as well, because I think that was also from Robillard.
I think you're right there. So Robillard really getting involved in some incidents in the back end of this one, which I'd imagine, I think he might have gotten a penalty for the Vinny Nguyen incident. He did. He got a 25-second penalty for that, and I reckon he's got another one coming his way for that Brant Tucker one. I can't see a world in which race control doesn't penalise him there. Well, we're also just seeing as well, there was just, I believe, a minor off track for Ruud Koistra. He is still going though, and we'll try and get a replay happening of that one for you. This is how it happened. Was this down at turn 3? It was down at turn 3. It's happened again. So another incident down at that corner. And again, it is becoming this. They need to rename the corner to Struggle Street, honestly, Brock. I mean, it is Struggle Street for the whole field today. It's unbelievable. Maybe we'll call it Elm Street because it's been such a nightmare for so many drivers. I like that. Yeah, Mike Myers just waiting around the corner at turn 3 to stab some tyres, I reckon, because no matter what, whether you're in first or last in this race or anywhere in between, turn 3 has just been the place to go to have a spin and test your patience there. And Ruud did a good job to catch that one, though, I will say, to get the car back right again. He did a pretty good job. Brock, I got to call you out for this because you've tried your best to get a horror reference in there for the Nightmare on Elm Street. You'd be looking for Freddy Krueger on that one, not Mike Myers. That would be the Halloween franchise you're looking for Michael Myers. But, I'll cop that. Next time we do a Halloween reference, I'll get that one right. Very well. To be fair, you referenced the holiday prop, please, since Michael Myers is from the Halloween franchise. But yeah, the one you were looking for there is Freddy Krueger. Jesse McMenamin has had a moment now as well. Ben Brooks coming to pit lane. So some late splash and dashes are starting to happen. And it's happened again at turn 3. And this time it's McMenamin that has been caught out with it. My goodness, he's just... and it's the McLaren. The McLaren's are the most prolific car at that part that these things are happening. Ticket prices for turn 3 have skyrocketed after this race as well, Brock. They've tripled. That's where all the action's happening today. Best place to get a photo or a video to pop up on your Instagram or TikTok, I reckon. It's the new YouTube corner, I think. They've moved it from Dagunahula onto the stadium Grand Prix circuit, I think, as well. Magnus Rowney, though, he is on his 62nd lap of this race, an hour 58, 40 odd minutes into this as well. I believe, based on where he is around the lap, we should get one more. I think this should be the white flag next time by. So I think we're going to go 63 laps today. No safety car interventions. Green flag the whole way. And it has been an OPR, optimal performance. 3 cars on the podium to this stage strategize their way to a 2-stopper where currently, Brock, they've got laps in hand worth of fuel. This has been an extraordinary strategy to be played out.
There's 40 seconds on the clock, but I think they're going to have 1 lap to go.
Yeah, I think you're right there, but excellent effort from the likes of OPR here. You know, they're called One Performance Racing, and this was one excellent performance by all three of Rowdy, Barber and Trott in that top 3. And I think you're right, they will get one more, they might get one more lap out of this to really solidify this victory. Barber's still right on the back of Rowdy, but you can't fault these guys today. They have been excellent. They've played the strategy beautifully, the pace beautifully, they've kept it clean. I mean, you can't put a black mark against their name.
You can't. You really, really can't. And actually, the timer is going to expire. So this will be the checkered flag when they come up towards the line. Magnus Rowdy, Greg Barber. What a display for One Performance Racing. And there's only one thing you can say about it. It's pure perfection as Greg Barber will continue to lead the championship. Magnus Rowdy will go post to post, pole to race winner here in Premier Endurance League GT3 Limited Series, brought to you by Dash Offroad. John Trott will finalise the podium lockout for OPR. Scott Rankin, what a drive to P4 after the day that he's had is an unbelievable result. Daniel Magri will make up our top 5. Jesse Butler will come around the final corner to come home in P6 ahead of Brad Coates. Nathan Hodges will finalise a quad top 10 for One Performance Racing. Doug Gowans and Matt Webber will make up the top 10 in the end. We're awaiting Jake Robillard to cross the line, but he will not be the race winner for the Challenger class. He's got a 25-second penalty overhead. So the race win today, because I've heard nothing in regards to a penalty for this man, Ben Johnson should be the race leader for the Challenger class when he crosses the line here, Brock.
Yeah, that did, and Ben Johnson done a really good job here, kept it quiet, really good result for Orbit drop there, and he'll come across the line here to finish first, what should be first in Challenger once all the penalties shake out there. Really good result there for Ben. Coming through behind him, he was +6 on his starting. Brant Tucker will come home second in class, even after that spin, that crazy spin off the track there. He'll bring it home second in class. A really good result there for him, and up 11 positions too, so a great result.
I believe...
And Matt Gerard will bring it home 27th.
I think he should be P3, because with Robillard having 25 seconds to his name, Gerard is 12 seconds off, 14 seconds off, so he should be close enough to finish on the podium as well, after what was an unbelievable result. But what a race for One Performance Racing. What a drive for Magnus Rowdy off pole position. Unbelievable result for that team. And I know that Magnus is the only one that we get to chat to out of that team. I know John's hopped in the green room. We don't have time, unfortunately. We can only talk to our class winners tonight. So I'm sorry to everyone who's on the podium and wanting to chat to us. We don't have time. It's very, very late, and we are time limited. But what a performance for Magnus Rowdy. What a performance for that team. Unbelievable result for those guys to solidify such a performance. Let's have a quick look at our race results here as well for the overall, and then we'll get into our classes results as well. Magnus Rowdy takes the race win ahead of Greg Barber and John Trott on the podium. Scott Rankin will finish P4 ahead of Daniel Magri. Jesse Butler ahead of Brad Coates, Nathan Hodges, Doug Gowans, and Matt Webber will finish outside of, or just inside of the top 10. Leo Dry will finish ahead of Ben Wilder, ahead of Stephen Tonkin, Patrick Reardon, Jack Flahovic, the top 15. Trent Stapleton and Jake Robillard. Well, Robillard will finish on the road P1 for Challenger class, but he will not finish there on the timing sheet. That'll go to Benjamin Johnson when that is corrected. Rue Koistra and Mitch Hobbs then will make up our top 20 as well. In behind them to the next page, you find Brant Tucker, Luke Kapotzer ahead of Tristan McLaren, Vinnie Nguyen. Daniel Piper ahead of Adam Gardner, Matthew Gerard, Jack Bird, Martin Hallen and Ben Brook for our top 30. To the next page, you'll find Ben Wilkes, Mark Foster, Gavin Simpson ahead of Logan Murphy, Kurt Chapman, Janish Ragwani ahead of Michael Spithill, Jesse McMenamin, Brent Johnson and Joe Hargraves for the top 40 cars as well. Daniel Coleman will finish ahead of Matthew Bakir, Adrian Gretsch, Ben Baker, Brendan Purcell, the top 45 ahead of Glenn Crellino and Coleman, Chris Ruddle, Ronald Long and Ricky Provenzali in P50, with Rafael Custodio. Wade Reynolds was down 61 laps, although I don't recall him backing. Oh no, he did back out on that one. That's correct. His race was done and dusted. And our race controllers, Scott Barton and Tim Lawson, did nothing in terms of driving a safety car. All they did was rule on the results and rule on the finishes as well. For the hard charger, it was Luke Potter tonight, up 29 position. He's still the hard charger, 2 races in a row, Brock. Unbelievable. Magnus Rowdy led the most laps, 51 in fact. Fast lap of the race went to him as well as pole position, which was a phenomenal result for that team. We're waiting for our podium finishes, and I'm waiting to find where Magnus Rowdy is to chat to our race. Oh, actually, no, Ben Johnson is supposed to be elite. Okay, so yeah, Brent has one challenger then. Okay, that means that Ben was classified incorrectly, Brock, when I was given the classifications. So we will chat to Brent Tucker instead, and we'll chat to him first of all. Brent, welcome in.
Brent.
Congratulations. What a race win. And Brock, what a drive for him here today.
Well done, mate. Yeah. Welcome, mate. For context, Brent and I are very good mates, so I wanted to say congratulations before we got too deep into it. It was a good drive, mate. And honestly, after that spin at the very end of that one, it was a challenging Sunday night out for you. How did you see it from the driver's seat?
Hey boys, that was unexpected. I had the spin. I had a couple spins there. Just looped it because we, at the last minute, tried an alternate strategy. We only took fronts, didn't take rears. So had a little spin at turn 3. Benjamin Brook got I think I passed Ben like half a dozen times in the last half an hour. We were just glued to the hip. So and then after that spin with Robbie, I think it was. Yeah, I was like, well, this will be interesting. But Matty Gerard had to pit for fuel because Lukey and I were sipping floor race. So yeah, it was just a kind of a strategic race for us. We knew the Ferrari wasn't going to be the gun car here. So we had to kind of think of something different, and we knew that it was good on its tyres and good on its fuel. And yeah, the Ferrari continues to provide the goods at the moment.
So you mentioned that you were sipping fuel there. Hamish, you and I were theorising throughout this whole race who was going to do 2 stops versus 3 stops. What sort of fuel numbers were you looking at beneath what would your regular fuel number versus your fuel saving? How much did you have to keep in the tank every lap?
So we were doing about anywhere from 2.8 to 2.9 was our happy number in the Fez. And I think I finished that race with 1.4 laps in the tank. So I had a good little buffer there. And then yeah, with not taking rears, that saved us a fair chunk of time in the pit lane as well. Did get caught out a little bit there when Reardon came down, come out of pit lane for position, made it 3 wide into turn 1, so that got a little bit dicey there, and something was disconnecting to making my PC momentarily freeze as well, so I was just hoping that the race would end. But yeah, that feels good. That feels very, very good.
Very good to hear, mate. And Hamish, did you have anything you wanted to ask Brand about his race?
I was going to say, Brent, this should now obviously give you a fine boost in your points for the championship. You were previously P6 in Challenger class, only on 34. With getting that now sort of top 20-ish, or P25 worth of points roughly, how does that feel for you to really solidify a good points finish, get you back up the order after a unfortunate day for Rob Allard, who's going to drop points, as well as those ahead of you, and Brendan Purcell, obviously Ben Wilkes, Mark Foster, Gavin Simpson. You were the best of the bunch. How's that going to work for you going forward into the next round, where you'll be hoping to solidify another good points finish at Road Atlanta?
We'll just yeah, it won't change. We'll probably just keep doing what we're doing at the moment. And yeah, and realistically, the past couple of weeks have been absolutely nuts. I think I've been out at 2 or 3 different fires throughout this week as well. So I only managed to actually get on, adjust the DTM setup on Friday night and did about 20 laps, and then made some minor adjustments again during the practice and qualifying sessions and shared it. I think, yeah, just before the qualifying session, I had the 1.2, the 1.1 set done. So yeah, that Ferrari is just really good on its tires and just really, really good on fuel. So won't change anything. Eyes forward. And yeah, just trying to keep those consistent results coming in for the boys at TriStar at the moment, and all our partners on board.
Well, Brent, we appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming over chat to us as well. Is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Jono for the dope new paints at Rap House, the guys and girls over at Shakedown, Pit Lane Cartel, W Energy, and Gripline GG for their amazing support throughout the year with W coming on board. So, yeah, on the up and up and keen for the rest of the season, boys.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in the next round at Road Atlanta in just under a month's time. Congratulations on the race win for Challenger class, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you out on track again out in September.
Cheers, boys. Thanks to you in the comms box and everyone at PEL for putting the show on. As always, great race.
Thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate it. Next up, well, we have our 3 OPR drivers in there, Brock. I'm sure we could. I'm mainly saying this because I don't know if Big Lando is actually Magnus Rowney. I'm just going to assume that it is. Should we just drag them all in because we could probably fit this in pretty quickly since they're all from the same team? They've only got one lot of shout-outs to do.
Bring them all in. Let's hear their collective story.
Sure,
I reckon.
we'll hear their collective story as we can. Boys, welcome in. Just need to confirm, Big Lando, I assume, is Magnus.
Yes, that is me, sorry.
Very good. No, that's fine. All right, welcome in. You get the very rare occurrence of having all 3 of you in here instead of just the race leader because you've had an amazing race and getting OPR a podium lockout here in Premier Endurance League. John, we'll start with you just quickly here to get that car up into P3. That's a hell of a result based on where you started this race tonight. That's a great drive from you. How are you finding this this McLaren after you changed over from the Mustang?
Yeah, I really didn't bond with the Mustang very well. I think it showed in my results last season, but no, the McLaren, it feels really good. I'm really enjoying the car.
It's interesting. So, I mean, I've noticed a few issues that this car's been having for some drivers with the rear ends just appearing to be getting loose based on their setup. Has that been a key factor for getting this car set up for yourself and obviously for Greg as well, with you both running this McLaren? Has it been set up based that's been getting that rear end nice and stable, or are you just finding that it's gluing to the circuit for you?
I'm pretty used to the rear end just snapping out. I drive the GTPs a lot, so they don't have much rear grip. They like to step out a bit, so I think the experience from that has sort of helped with the McLaren.
Well, I mean, it's a stellar drive for yourself and one where you've backed up your teammates, not only to a triple podium, obviously, a quad top 10 as well, obviously, with Nathan inside the top 10 with you guys as well. Greg, you've now extended your championship lead over the majority of the field. With Owen Coleman having a poor round, does that take a little bit of pressure off you, or is it going to be business as usual when we get out to Road Atlanta next time?
There's plenty of other quick guys to worry about. It's not just Owen. Obviously, Magnus was pretty good tonight, led it from the front, and tried to put a little bit of pressure on him towards the end there, but yeah, had to kind of be sensible at the end.
Well, I appreciate you playing ball and being the only one to actually have their camera available to me today as well. And we appreciated the virtual cam abilities of the VR as well, obviously. We want to get it for more drivers on there too. But, I mean, how was it for you doing such a long event in the VR? I mean, obviously, you know, I'm sure you're used to it by this point, doing a bit more endurance racing with OPR. Has it become kind of just a normal factor for you now whenever you go sim racing with the VR on?
Yeah, I can't do it any other way. I do 24-hour races, you know, triple stint Le Mans in VR, so it's not an issue for me. Basically, it's just comfortable. It feels better to me than looking at a flat screen. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you get a little bit hot, but you know, it's so immersive. Once you're in there, you feel like you're in the car. So it really you tune out the outside world a little bit and just lock in.
Well, it's good to see you get full firing this season. Obviously, some bad luck last season for you ended up being that obviously you dropped some pretty crucial points last season. What's changed in between seasons, though, for you to come into this one and be backfiring on all cylinders?
Well, new car, as Trotty said, just like driving the McLaren, it does get a bit twitchy in the rear, but you just got to be a little bit gentle with it. And you know, tonight's race was 2/3 fuel save, 1/3 go for it. So you know, it was pretty. I wasn't pushing too hard in the first 2 stints to really get it too out of shape, but Yeah, and as I said last week, just being a bit more sensible on cold tyres. Last year, I did a little bit of analysis and found that generally when I made mistakes, it was on a cold tyre. So you might notice I go a little bit backwards on lap 1 2 weeks in a row. So that's just that, really, me being a little bit more cautious and knowing that it's a long race.
Well, it's all worked out for you. You've strategized this perfectly. 2 podiums in a row. Obviously, the race win last time at Catalunya last month, and then into this month with a P2 as well. We look forward to seeing if it's going to be a 3rd podium for you coming up next at Road Atlanta next month as well. And hopefully you can continue this run of form for yourself and for OPR. But you didn't really have any answer today for your teammate, Magnus Rowney. I mean, Magnus, what a drive. P1 from pole to race win, post to post, coast to coast, however you want to say it. That is a hell of a race win, and one that you well and truly deserved. Was there any conversation with yourself and Greg of possibly giving up the win for him just so he could extend the championship lead a little bit more, or is it too early in the season for you guys to make that determination?
No, we didn't really talk about that. When he got close to me at the end, I sort of put the foot down a bit, just to get away. I didn't finish the last race, so I really needed as many points as I could get to do well tonight.
Well, you did that in spades, obviously. Last race didn't finish, started P10. This race, you put it on pole and you get the race win. That's a hell of a turnaround, obviously. You've decided on that Ferrari in comparison to the McLaren, and I'm personally I think it's great to see the Ferrari out there in true stead in its full form. It's great to see the 296 be competitive again. Brent Tucker said that he's found this car is great on its tyres and it's great on its fuel. Are you of a similar mindset, and what do you think has really helped develop this car? Is it the introduction of that DTM official series, or is it just the BOP starting to really favour the Ferrari once again?
Stu, one of our other teammates, he came up with a really good setup for it. It was really gentle on its tyres. I almost probably could have triple stinted the tyres if I wanted to. And yeah, like you said, it's really good on fuel. So I decided I was gonna do a 2-stop race no matter what anybody else did around me, and I just drove to a number all night to achieve it.
Worked out to perfection for you, obviously. Got yourself to the race win. I'm sure it's going to be a similar strategy for Road Atlanta, knowing that place can chew up tyres if you over push too much. That's it's short, tight, fast, and it's a little bit similar to the Nürburgring itself. But we'll start with John, and I think Magnus, you're probably going to be doing the sponsor shout outs, I'm sure, seeing that you won the race. But John, is there anyone that you want to personally give a shout out to before we let you go here this evening?
Yeah, just big shout out to Stuart, Hughesy, and Stefan. Been helping out a lot with all the boys, getting everything ready, keeping us going, keeping us on pace, and just helping us out in general. Big shout out for those boys.
And I'll mention Reese as well. He did a little bit of work with me during the week. That was much appreciated.
We appreciate that. And Magnus, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to in terms of your personal shout outs, or even the team sponsors as well?
Yeah, sort of like they said, Stu, he helps us a lot with setups, and Nathan, he's sort of my direct teammate. We work a lot together, trying to help each other get better. And then yeah, just the team sponsors. Stu uses the Motec software to help us perfect our setups. The guys at Gamma Flare, Simrigs. I've run one of their original chassis. And then Knight Rider for doing our sick liveries.
We appreciate your time, gentlemen. Congratulations on the podium lockout, something we haven't seen for a long, long time here in Premier Endurance League. And I might have to look to see if it's ever actually happened in the limited series. But if it hasn't, that's a phenomenal result. If it has, well, it's definitely been a long time since it happened last time. Best of luck at Road Atlanta next time out, and thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, everyone, for putting it on.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. Well, Brock, it's a very rare occurrence, as I said, for us to get a podium lockout for one team, and that is a phenomenal result for that team to do that. I mean, that is all-time and a fantastic result for them. We obviously know where we're going next time when we're racing out at Road Atlanta for the next round of the season. It's going to be one to keep an eye on, of course. Final thoughts, though, here from Nürburgring before we get going.
It was another hotly contested race out there. Strategy didn't play as much of a role as it did in the initial race at Barcelona, but I think we're going to be in for a resurgence from Owen Coleman. I think he's going to want to come back and prove himself and try and snag a win and take it to these OPR guys. And I think watch for the battle in Challenger. That's going to heat up. You know, we've got a couple of different winners now from 2 different rounds. Watch for a third different winner to come next round. That's heating up something severe as we kind of enter into the second half of the season. But I'm really excited for our next round at Road Atlanta.
Well, before we get there, we of course will return to the Nürburgring when SimSpeed TV will get us going for the next round of the GT3 Open Series, of course, for Premier Endurance League as well. The next time myself and Brock Kadar will be with you out here though, and racing will be for that next round of the season, as I said, when we are out at Road Atlanta. I was going to have Road Atlanta B-roll happening. I've just realised that I downloaded Road America by mistake, so we haven't got any B-roll happening for Road Atlanta. But nonetheless, we will be there next time on your screens. It'll be September the 13th. We'll be with you once again for the next round of the season. You don't want to miss it. We're racing for round 3 before the month's break of October, before we return for the doubleheader in November at season's end as well. Big shout out, of course, to the series sponsors, Dash Offroad, the title sponsors, Sudspeed Gloves as well for their support, Scorsa, Podium Printworks, and Horsley Park Gun Shop as well. For myself, Hamish Rondo, and Brock Kadai alongside. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you for being here with us once again. You can help support the series by subscribing, liking, and clicking the bell icon right here on the Premier Endurance League YouTube channel. You'll also find in the chat the link to us over in Infinity Broadcasting. You can help support us by clicking the like button and subscribe to the bell icon over there as well. We notify whenever we go racing on the channel. Next up on your docket for you on Infinity Broadcasting tomorrow morning, 9:50 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We go racing with Highside Motorsports for round 2 of the Clash as they go racing in Gen 6 Cup car machinery out at Watkins Glen International for the final road course race of the season. You don't want to miss it as the challenge for the championship continues over there in the United States. And then after that, Saturday evening, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, myself and Brett Fisher in the booth for the second to last round, penultimate round, last dropable round of the V8 Veterans season for season 28. And split 2 out at Adelaide Street Circuit, 250k, 78 laps to come your way in that one. For myself, Hamish Rondo there, Brock Kadai alongside. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you guys next time here on Premier Endurance League. We're out at Road Atlanta for the next round, but until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
fight to the end, no matter what happens. Good day to be in victory lane.
Green flag is in the air. Driving with conviction. Side by side, hammer down. The afterchecks are lit. Don't count out anybody. Who wants it the most?
We are eyes on the leader now.
He is driving his guts out. Wheel to wheels, they come to the line. Victory, this will be.
Nobody wants it more than you.
Next flag is going to end it. Does he have enough? A dominant performance.
You're gonna say no, baby. Let's go.
Can you believe what you are seeing? Everybody's pushing as hard as they can get it. One final shot.
Gotta earn this thing right here to the end.
It is all on the table.
A total 500.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.